Okay. So here's the question. Make the right decision. I don't know which one we should do. This screen or this screen? I don't know. I'm looking... I mean, this is the one I usually use. And I guess my thinking is, like, there's just so much stuff here. No one cares. Like, you can't click on any of this. But I do like it because it's bright. But I'm thinking I might just switch to the full screen webcam. Honestly, I feel like it's too much. Like, what I really need is I need some kind of, like, soy, like, cartoon avatar, a fursona that I can use. And I'll just talk through that. It actually saves bandwidth, right? That's what I should do. I guess I can do it with, like, Bucky once I get my official sponsorship. Okay. So I'm doing a stream today. We're going to talk about some stuff. Oh, and by the way, I guess I should show. I'll read donations. Send Monero if you want. The link is there. Actually, let me pin that. Hold on. Because I'm going to use this. We're not going to use that other screen anymore. I don't like it. I'll just say donate. Donate.lukesmith.xyz. Whatever. There it is. Okay? That's all you're going to see about the links. I should pin that. How do I pin? Things are moving too fast. All right. So anyway, here's what we're going to talk about in this stream. Okay? Well, the title says something like Making Fun of Millennials stream. So I wrote an article. I actually just put it up on my website that I think might be worth looking at. I kind of hurriedly wrote it because I wanted to finish it before this thing. I'll probably revise it. I revise everything, but let's check it out. I also have, let me just make sure I don't have anything weird pulled up on my screen because I'm going to share my screen. All right, here we go. So here's the article I wrote. Okay, it's called "Minimizing Liabilities is Making It." Because now the reason I wrote this little article. Maybe I should do it in a video because people only watch videos. Maybe I'm doing it in a video now. But the point of it is, a lot of the time, well, I'll just say the other week, after I did my week of GitHub, the week afterwards, I kind of took off. I was like, I'm going to do what I want. All right? So I spent a lot of time actually just doing whatever, playing around, kind of just, I watched more YouTube than I've watched in a long time. And so I watched some like finance people. And I want to say, one thing I notice is when I give recommendations on my channel, I feel there's a systematic difference between me and everyone else at this point. And I now feel like I understand what it is. That's why I wrote this little article. So the point is, like what the goal is, okay, is, well, actually, let's look at these. So picture here. 60% of millennials earning over $100,000 say they're living paycheck by paycheck, which is pretty funny. Or actually, let me just check that. Yeah, we are streaming. I should actually see. My cam is lagging. Of course, it's lagging. Everything's lagging. Or here's average millennial net worth. Okay, so this is gonna make you feel good about yourself, no matter who you are, because basically throughout their 20s. Like, all millennials basically have a negative net worth. Now, you can see what's going on here. So, like, they go into student loan debt, which is basically, they're losing $10,000 of net worth a year. And then only afterwards, like, only at 30 do they get back to where they started when they were born. It's pretty bad. So, anyway, I wrote an article, but my point here is that I think a lot of people, when they're giving financial advice, quote-unquote, is... They're talking about how do you make more money, right? So they're talking about how do you maximize income. And basically all I'm talking about is minimizing liabilities, right? So that's the whole point. Like, people nowadays, the way I look at it is that, like, when people do something wrong that's harming themselves, or like when I was in my younger 20s and I was like wasteful, we don't need to see the screen. We don't need to see the screen. It's taking up too much. Maybe I should just do like a black... I don't even know. I'll figure out what to do. But, from my perspective, the issue is, like, a lot of people will focus only on making money. And what they'll do in the meantime... Actually, no, I do need to show the screen. Hold on. Like, I have a section that's, like, the life story of basically everyone nowadays. And how this works is, what? Like, people go to college, okay, because they feel like they need to. And then they get lots of debt, okay? And then they're like, well, now I have debt, so I need to get a better job. And I need to, like, all this stuff that comes with it, right? And I think the kind of the problem that people have, let's see. Oops. Why is OBS like super lagging? I don't even understand this. Only webcam. All right. All right. What was I saying? So yeah, like, so what actually happens is like people will go in debt because basically, or not just debt, I'm talking about everything. Like they'll be focused only on making more money and not about like monthly expenditures and stuff like that. So I actually saw this one video. I don't mean to single anyone out. But you know, and this isn't even saying anything bad about him, but I saw this video by like Sam Hyde, which I know some people watch my channel, and like I've seen some of his videos, but there's this one video in particular where he was talking about like, oh yeah, I don't give a crap about, I mean, he was saying basically the opposite of what I'm saying now, where he's like, yeah, I was paying like for this apartment, it was like $700 a month, and I just did, you know, my time is so valuable, I just didn't have like the time to get rid of it because I'm out here making money, and like I can't. Like, that is very much exactly the opposite of what I tell people to do. Because it's like, I mean, from my perspective, it's about like, I mean, if you can survive on a couple $100 a month, that's basically the ideal. I think I said in that article, like, for most of my 20s, like, I was living on like, you know, less than $500, right? Well, I still am, functionally, you know. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I am using OBS. I'm always using OBS. Never had debt and never had money. Yeah, well, I guess that's the ideal, right? If you're still alive. Okie dokie. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably my biggest advice to people, like, because think of it this way. Okay, if you can minimize your expenditures, which is, like, the other thing I should say, and I was saying that little write-up, making more money is kind of difficult when you're starting out, but minimizing how much you spend is super easy, okay? Like, you can get that really, really low, and even if you're only spending a couple $100 a month, like $100 a week, let's say, you know, especially if you're including rent in that, there have been many times when I'm paying, like, within the modern world, I'm paying, like, $200, $300 for rent, but if you can get it like that, like even a stupid wagey job is gonna, like, you're gonna be putting like a lot of savings back. So that's the way I look at things. I really want to see a Luke and Sam collab. Sam would punch him. Yeah, Sam is a big boy. He's like, how tall? I don't know. People say he's like 6'8". He's like a massive guy. So yeah, he could definitely sock me. Joined the military because I realized my life was heading towards debt. I had $5,000 in debt and it was gnawing on me. Don't understand how someone could rack up more than that and not even waver. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about college. Like, the real issue is kids are told. Actually, you know what? I got an email about college today. Maybe I'll read part of that out. I just happened to see it, and maybe I'll actually respond to it on video. But yeah, college is where people get screwed because they're told their entire early life before they get to 18, you got to go to college. You got to go to college, you got to go to the best college, okay? You know, let's say you get into Harvard, let's be realistic. Like, unless you are already a member of the aristocracy, like, there's no reason for you to go to Harvard. Like, Harvard for them is a social thing, and they're rich, and it's not a big deal. For you, Harvard is not going to add value. Like, one thing about college, like, a lot of people who look at statistics and they like, oh, college graduates, they're massively different in outcome than everyone else, right? I mean, that's true. But most of that is just like sorting. Like, more intelligent people go to college as it is right now. People who are more capable of like functioning in the white collar world, they go to college, and they also do well aside from that. But it's not like college isn't adding value to people, okay? But, you know, the real issue with debt, of course, is that so many people get told you have to go to college and you have to go to the best one. So go to Harvard, where the like bare minimum to function there is basically $70,000 a year or something like that. And it's just nuts. Like, oh, I've been told, wow, I'm so lucky I got into this school and now I'm spending all this money, but it must be the best idea. I actually had a girlfriend who I don't know how much she spent on her whole education. Like, I want to say it was close to $250,000. I don't know. It might be, maybe it's like an eighth of a million, but it was a lot. Like, she went to Emory or something like that, and it was a big deal that she got in there. And you know, her parents were really happy, but it's one of those things where it's like, dude, you're like, you could have literally just bought your kid a house. You know what I mean? Like, go in debt and buy them a house, or at least leave them with the mortgage, you know, give them the down, you know, it would be so much better if that happened. Now, anyway, is college actually good? Okay, because here's realistic, as I said, like, college in itself is not adding value to you. But realistically speaking, there is a signaling benefit. Okay, there's what's called, like, economists call it the sheepskin effect. Okay, there is still a reason. In fact, I would say it is, like, going to college is still probably a good thing for a lot of people, unless you are like, unless you already know you have a business and you're going to do that. For basically everyone else, college is not that bad, and the reason is you're going to go through it. You're not going to get anything. You're just going to have fun. But there is a sense in which when you apply for the job, you have apply for some job, you have a sheepskin effect where it's basically, okay, this person, we don't know anything about them, but they at least can get through 4 years of college. So they have, like, some bare competency. Like, that is the only reason to go to college. You're not getting more value. It is just to, like, have the certification. And a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm in this field. Like, oh, Luke, you said something bad about college. I'm in this field and we have to go to college. Yeah, that's exactly the issue. Like, the fact that you have to go. Like, you're not going to college to actually learn something. No one is. No one is going to college because they think it's going to make them, like, a better, more productive person or a better person, or, like, you know, they're going there for fun, and because basically the sheepskin effect. You know, that's the real issue. College here is cheap and free, which is essentially made it mandatory. I mean, yeah, well, it's the same way. I don't know where you are, if you're in Europe or something, if that's what you mean by cheap or free. But, like, that's how it is in America. And the thing is, like, Americans, they can go to school and they will not be on the hook for paying for any of it for like years and years. Which is kind of the problem. Like, when you're an 18-year-old with not a fully formed brain, sorry, 18-year-olds, you're not as smart as you think. But, like, when you can't see the future and you don't have, like, kind of experience and stuff like that, yeah, it totally screws you. But I do also think, like, even like, in a perfect world, okay, let's say that Americans could go to school for free. It would still be a pretty questionable thing to do in terms of it is, like, wasting your time if you don't have something else better to do. That said, most people in their early 20s, let's be realistic, they have no freaking clue what they're doing in their life. Like, I said, like, oh, unless you have a business idea, don't go to college unless you, like, have a business that you're doing. And that is probably, that would be my takeaway advice. For basically everyone else, you just need to kill time. You need to, like, mature. You need to, like, have life experience. You need time to, like, tinker with technology and other skills. And honestly, college can be a good time to do that because, frankly, college is easy and, like, you can skip classes and not do whatever, like, you know. What if I'm not stupid and a midwit? Actually, I don't know if he's responding to me or someone else. You know, someone asked me the other day, or I occasionally get this comment on videos like, "Oh, Luke, your advice to, like, I don't know, try to be self-employed or, like, better yourself and be independent. All your advice is just for smart people, quote unquote." Okay, which I think is kind of silly, because firstly, these are not smart people things. These are things like listen. Look at boomers. You can say in your mind that boomers had it easy or something like that. But sure, so there are people who are like, there definitely are people who are smart and some that are dumb. Okay, there's no doubt about that. But the way I look at it is when I'm giving advice like that might require intelligent people, like, they can see it and they can respond to it. Unintelligent people, they're not going to do, like, it's not going to harm them because they're taking the path of least resistance anyway. It's just, I don't know. But I really don't believe in that. Like, well, I mean, I do in a degree, but, like, this idea that, oh, I'm not smart enough to be able to do this, most of the time that is just not the case. Like, you can you can definitely have a business without needing that much intelligence. You know what I mean? It all depends on like, and this goes for self-employment as well. A lot of it is like, you know, I do things based on how easy they are for me to maintain. Okay. Like, you know, that I mentioned in the other video, the book business. The nice thing about that is it's super easy for me to maintain. I don't really have to think about it that much. All right. The majority of self-made wealthy people I know in real life are idiots who made it via connections and perseverance plus luck. Well, yeah, perseverance, and if you have perseverance, that is more than like most people, because most people are just complain. Oh, wow, I can't have this, I'm going to complain. And the thing about connections and luck, they're a 100% a cope. Like, they're totally a cope for people not doing things. Because what happens is, here's what's going to happen, okay? If you step out there and start trying to do XYZ business, you are going to put yourself out there and, oh, look, you're gonna meet someone. Oh, this is gonna happen. You're gonna run into this opportunity is gonna come to you, right? You're gonna have this thing that's called luck. It just happens because you sitting in your room all day, you're never gonna see these possibilities, right? Now, player haters out there are going to look at you and they're gonna call, oh, you just got lucky. I can't do that, man. That's all you. You're just like, oh, you're a brat because you know you had these opportunities. No, the opportunities, they don't just appear. Like, no one knocks on your freaking door and it's like, hey, do you want to do this for me? It's not gonna happen. Like, once you actually start doing things, oh, paths will open for them to happen. Like this, again, like people on the internet who are saying this kind of stuff. Now, I'm not assuming that this guy meant all this, but I will just say, like, there's some people, you know, who again, who are just trying to justify not doing anything, who will say things like, oh, well, you know, you just got lucky, you just got connections. No. Like, in doing the things, that is where you get the luck and that is where you get the connections, right? Things seem really bad if I were just sitting in this room loathing myself, there would be no connections or luck, right? So that's just a note for people. Opportunities multiply as they are seized by Sun Tzu. Is that a real quote? People always give him like fake quotes. Either way, I mean, it's true though. It is true. Do you think intelligence is innate, cultivated, or circumstantial, or maybe something else? Don't have to be something within that, just interested in... I mean, intelligence, like, there is absolutely a massive biological reality of intelligence. And I think anyone who... I mean, people will pretend that is not the case for, like, kind of political reasons, but it's true. That said, I mean, it's the same way as, like, height, basically. And of course, there are things in real life that will, that might, I don't know, put you in a better position for that or not, like that might accentuate that or not. I mean, the important thing is to know, like, what intellectual level you're at, where you can operate, in the same way that, like, if you're freaking short, you don't want to play basketball, but there are other things for you to do. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing with intelligence, but, you know, I'm not gonna... Like, there are people who do well, I was going to say there are people on YouTube with channels that talk about this. No, they probably all got banned. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of research into the geneticness of intelligence. And, you know, it's like, depending on how you measure it, it's like 70, 80% inherited. But the thing is, like, what I was saying earlier, in order to actually accomplish things, like, in order to have a successful business, you don't have to be a freaking genius. You don't have to have, like, you know, 150 IQ. In fact, you know, a lot of times people with high IQs, they overthink things. Like, this is where a lot of these people are coming from. Like, a lot of, like, the worst thing to be is, like, one of these dudes on the internet with, like, 115 IQ. You, like, know you're smarter than most people, but you freaking overthink things and you don't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, you're I don't know. That's the real issue. Like, so don't feel, in most cases, like, if you're watching my channel, which is on, like, technology stuff, okay, I'm going to guess that the people watching this, that you probably have a higher IQ than most people, realistically speaking. Probably significantly. I mean, on average, we probably have an average IQ on this channel that's a lot higher than, like, Logan Paul's viewership, okay? So there's a good chance, like, you probably have the raw materials for doing all this kind of stuff. But either way, you don't actually need that much. Most of it is just like doing things, you know. I don't know. The same thing happens to me. Like, I'll be in a position where I'm constantly like making up reasons to not to do things or like putting it off, and it's a cope, and you have to recognize it as a cope and overcome that, you know. So, Dashing Rug says, luck is the law of attraction in New Age circles. Oh, yeah. That's what they call it. And a super chat. Oh, yeah, use the Monero thing. People who have Moneros. People have Moneros. Yeah, I think by the end of the year, I'm going to turn off freaking super chats altogether. We're going to do 100% XMR. Anyway, TF says, hi, Luke. When we'll stop geeking out on Arch Linux and Latin and settle down with a good Jewish girl? Ha ha ha. Very funny. So, all right. Actually, I probably should check my, yeah, okay. So, some XMR from Anonymous. Why do you not like Catholicism? By the way, your QR code pic is too small. Camera doesn't pick it up. Had to open it. Oh, ooh, I changed the, hold on. Changed the CSS. Yeah, I knew I screwed something up when I, what? How's that too small? I don't know, maybe it's an error on your side. Let me pull it up here. Anyway, sorry, what was that question? Why do you not... It's not that I dislike Catholicism, I just don't think it's, like, the true church. I don't think how... I've explained my idea. Like, I actually don't like it when people say stuff like that. Oh, why do you hate this? Why do you like that? I don't have emotions about these things. I literally have a channel where I explain what I think about all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not... I don't know. It's not an emotional thing. I explained in the last live stream, actually... You know, actually I've explained in like every freaking live stream why I'm not a Catholic. Well, like there's a period years where I was thinking about becoming a Catholic. I'm not going to. I don't like the actual historical argument for papal infallibility is insane and made up, and it is invented centuries after the early church. The entire direction of scholasticism put the Catholic Church in a position where it's like making up increasingly insane doctrines that have no basis in tradition whatsoever. Okay, I think I said in the last stream, like, the Catholic Church views tradition in the same way that, like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg views the Constitution, as, like, something that, like, evolves over time, and we add stuff to it. And, of course, nowadays it goes without saying, like, the Catholic Church doesn't exist anymore, right? The Catholic Church, like, this thing, like, Pope Francis, like, he's like, the biggest, I don't know, he's, like, the biggest, like, enemy of Catholicism, you know what I mean? He's, like, actively putting forth encyclicals and preaching things that are like against traditional Catholic, you know, doctrine, right? So, you know, so I mean, that's why. But I mean, if you're a lay Catholic, is Catholicism like closer to truth than like being an atheist? Sure, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll double check the CSS on that QR code though. I'm not quite sure. So Luke Collins says sends in $2. And says, I recall you've previously spoken about physiognomy, like when someone looks like a libtard or a conservative. Has this stuff ever been formally scientifically studied? Can you talk a bit about it? When it comes to like political stuff, I'm not like specifically liberal and conservative. Off the top of my head, I don't know. But there definitely is like, there definitely is a lot of work on kind of specific things. But I will say this is one of those things that's like, kind of like intelligence we were talking about a second ago. Anything that, like, relates the outside of your body to the inside, there's, like, this taboo about it. Okay, there's absolute scientific taboo. So, yeah, there's, like, really interesting stuff coming out in, like, neo-physiognomy and stuff like that. But, it's the kind of stuff that liberals don't like. You know what I mean? Like, so there's, you gotta go. I know people like, what's that dude's name? Who's like kind of an academic, and he's a little, he's very, I don't know, he's much more even than I am. I don't quite know. Edward Dutton, okay, you guys know who he is, if you know who he is. He's very, what's the word I'm looking for? He just has this, outward. I don't know. Someone in the chat is probably saying what I'm thinking of, but he's just very not loquacious. What's the word that he gesticulates a lot and whatever. Anyway, he's very intense. But he's actually, like, I know a lot of the stuff he does is he talks about, like, physiognomy and some other things that, like, relate personality types to you know, other physical things. But it's definitely a real thing. I mean, I mentioned earlier, I was thinking about, you know, on physiognomy. I think I mentioned Sam Hyde earlier in this stream, and, you know, he's a freaking big dude. And the thing about Sam Hyde, and this is more an example of, like, your physique affecting how you act, okay? Like, Sam Hyde, he has this comedy style that's, like, really absurd and in your face and, like, offensive. And he has all these things where he does, like, a routine in public around liberals that are going to, like, be offended by what he says. And the thing is, if Sam Hyde were, like, 5'2", he couldn't do that. Or if he did, it would be an entirely different thing. It'd be like, oh, look at this, like, joke of a guy. Right? Instead, he's, like, this fear-inducing massive man. So, like, and I think there is a sense in which the configuration of your body is going to affect what kind of personality you develop. And what that means is that over time, physical traits and mental traits, you know, in terms of genes, they're going to be correlated with each other because, like, if you mixed up like, you know, intense guy genes with a super short guy, I don't know, he's just kind of mean, you know? Joe Dirt says, hey Luke, can you make a vid or post on best practice cringe for buying, holding crypto? Every video I find is Pajits and Soy, and I don't trust them. Like, I don't care about, like, investing in crypto. Okay? If you want to, like, I don't know, maybe you're asking this from the perspective of I literally know nothing about crypto, and I don't know, I just need to know how to buy it, but I mean, I will go ahead and tell you what I do. I don't give financial advice, but I'll tell you what I do. I don't give a crap about, like, investing in cryptocurrency. Okay, the only thing I care about are Bitcoin and Monero because they're functional tools. They're good software systems. Monero I like a lot more. Bitcoin, like, theoretically can be useful and it has a bigger network. So, you know, that's why I'm okay with it. But, like, if I buy stuff like that, I have never cashed out crypto, and I never intend to, because if you really believe in it, you realize, oh, like, in 20 years, if this stuff is serious, this is the kind of stuff we're going to be using in a global financial system, and you don't need to convert it to cash because it is, like, it might go up in cash value, but ultimately you're going to be using that within the system to exchange for, you know, stuff, right? So for that reason, and also I don't want to pay capital gains tax, let's be real, okay? So thank you, American government, for incentivizing me to be a hodler. And those are the only projects I really care about now. As for, like, how to specifically buy it, now with Monero, I'll go ahead and say, like, Monero, if you get it from a Know Your Customer exchange, it's not really the end of the world. So, because once you transfer it off, it's basically private, right? Bitcoin, I mean, you know, if you're using it for something illegal or something, or you don't want people watching your transactions, you might want to worry about that more. But either way, when you buy it, you should be transferring it to a private wallet. But as to, like, how to buy and store, I mean, store it, you just, I don't know, get a wallet program. Just make sure it's not, your seed isn't, like, unencrypted on your computer, or preferably it's, you know, you have it locked away, not even on a internet touching computer. That would be best. But, so. All right. Some XMR from Anonymous. Luke, I need to reinstall my Windows. Would you advise installing some Linux distro and learning it? If so, what should I prepare for? I mean, yeah, you should definitely. There's no reason to be using Windows nowadays, or Mac. I mean, like, Linux now. It's the best time to switch to Linux. You definitely should. Like, you know, Windows is getting worse and worse, and it's just a frustration. You know what I mean? As to, like, what Linux distro you use, nowadays I pretty much just tell people to use Artix Linux. And the reason I do is, so Artix is, you know, technically a version of Arch. You could use Arch Linux, but, like, Artix, so Arch Linux, you have to, like, install everything environment yourself. Artix, you can do that, or you can have it pre-installed with a graphical environment. So I recommend that to people. You can go to their site, artixlinux.org or whatever it is. They'll have a couple different desktops you can choose from. Just pick which one you like. But the reason I recommend Arch distros usually is because they're most flexible, they're easy, and as you get better and better, Arch is more ideal than basically any other distro, I'll just say, for customizability, but at the same time, like, it's kind of, like, I mean, the way I usually put it is, like, you can go, there can be 30 seconds between you hearing about a program and you, like, installing it and using it, like, having it installed on Arch. Because you just have the AUR, you have all this stuff that can be instantly installed, which is not the case even in customizable. Well, I don't know. Maybe you could do something like that in Gentoo, but Gentoo's not a newbie distribution, right? You know, so the only thing that I use is Artix, and someone gave me, I think I mentioned, someone sent me, and I'm going to do a video on that. Someone sent me a ThinkPad, a Libre booted ThinkPad that has Void Linux on it. And Void is okay. I like Void, but don't start with use Arch or Artix. I have some complaints about. Well, really, I have no complaints about Void. It's just there's so many great things about Arch Linux that I just forget when I'm not like using a distro based on it all the time. Oh, I thought that was a bug. It's like a piece of lint. Alex says, "Do you think it is too late to try and find love if you've never tried?" At the age of 32, can you lose the ability to love if you don't do so for a long period I don't know, you're saying you're like 32 and you've never had a, like, I don't feel like that. I feel like it's, honestly, weirdly enough, it's similar to what we said before, like, about finances, weirdly enough. The issue with a lot of younger guys is they're well, thankfully Zoomers have a term for this. They're simping too hard. They're just simping. Like, what happens, this is what happens to basically every Zoomer guy. They have some girl that they imprint on in high school, or, like, I don't know, some girl online, and they can't have her, or she doesn't like him, and so, like, all modern women are terrible. It's just awful. Whereas if you get older, and also, like, these guys are, like, thinking about cooming all the time. Like, they're thinking about girls. They're looking at every freaking girl. They can't, like, look at a woman objectively. They look at them through coomer glasses. So as you get older, it becomes easier to deal with women because, like, you don't really fall for, I mean, you're not, I don't know, all the tricks, they don't work on you. You know, you're grown. Like, you're not as hormonal. So, no, I mean, I don't know if you're, no, it's fine. And also, like, look at statistics of when people actually get married and stuff, and you'll be surprised by how late people have always gotten married. I mean, even in medieval, this is a funny, here's an anecdote. People might not know this. A lot of people think that, like, before this century, or I guess the 20th century, people got married really young, and that is true. Like, a lot of cultures did, but there are many cultures where people, like medieval England, a lot of times people would not get married. I mean, the average year of marriage would be like 30, okay? Because your entire 20s, you would be working as a craftsman, or you'd be a lady-in-waiting or something like that, right? So that, like, women would get married at 30. Like, even though theoretically they're even past their, like, ideal, you know, fertility period. So, like, anyone who's saying, oh, wow, it's over because, I don't know, I'm, like, slightly older than my whatever. And also, again, like, on intelligence, you have to remember that, like, people that are higher IQ are slower burn. Like, that they're always going to be, when it comes to, like, relationships, they're going to get married later. They're going to, like, have their first girlfriend later. That's just, like, the way it's always been. Like, slow people, they're having sex at, like, 13. Let's be real. I had a friend in high school. He was, like, where was he from? I don't know, some Latin American country. But I shouldn't even say this on YouTube. It's not, well, it's not, like, too bad about him, but it's kind of sexual. It's inappropriate. Yeah, I try not to do, like, too much. I mean, anyway. Vietnamese person sends us some XMR. Nations are gonna go extinct. I mean, because they're, like, important. Like, that's a realistic reason. I mean, I don't think that's just a white person thing. Like, I think I mean, hypothetically speaking, let's say the British Empire, when they took over India, they were like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna, like, we're gonna convince the natives that, like, not to have children, and we're gonna, like, immigrate all these new people in, and then within, like, several decades, Indians are basically a minority. Okay, that's a legitimate concern on the case of Indians, and it's a legitimate concern of like East Asians who have low birth rates or white people in America who have low birth weights. I mean the only thing about like people in the West, like whites in the West, is like basically birth control is their own problem. Like they choose not to have children. Like that's the issue. I mean, immigration is a big issue, but it would be like, I mean, if people were having children at the rates they were before, it really wouldn't be. Let's be realistic. It's because people are going to college and like, all this kind of crap. We all know. We've all been victims of it in some sense, but like that's really what it is. Okay, so Anonymous sends in some XMR. What's the best job for the coming recession? Well, no job. The best job is self-sufficiency, to be as minimally reliant on the system. But he goes on. What about savings? Inflation is ruining cash. Crypto is crashing. Might be a good time to buy. Might be. Stock market isn't doing great. BlackRock is buying up property. So here's my way of looking at things. If you're poor, and when I say poor, I mean someone who doesn't have a house yet. A house paid off. I don't mean a mortgage. I mean, if you haven't, like, if you don't own everything, right? You don't need to worry about stocks or any of that kind of stuff, because my way of looking at things is you got to minimize your liabilities. That's actually what the article that I just put out was about. And I didn't talk so much about houses. I should add a section in about that. But I think really the priority of everyone before, like, your money, here I'll answer this question. So you shouldn't be that worried about inflation, because the money that you earn, if you don't have a house, that should be going directly to purchasing property. Okay, that's basically my view of it. Once you are set, once you have a house, you're not paying a monthly payment. You just all of that is taken care of. Then you can start thinking about other things, but you're already in the position where you don't have to worry as much about inflation and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's why I'm a big proponent of just getting a cheap property, cheap as in expandable and rural. That's nice, okay? But get property ASAP, because the worst that can happen is the housing market collapses, but your main property is not an investment, okay? Or it's an investment, but it's over a period of hundreds of years. I think I said this in the video I did the other week, right? So if you time the housing market wrong and you end up paying a little more for this property that you're going to own in perpetuity, okay, you wasted a little money, but you still have, you're not losing money. There's a big difference. You're not on the hook for a bunch of this crap. If you bought a stock that went down a whole lot, and you're going to want to sell that, because owning a stock in itself is useless. Owning a house is not useful. Or wait, no, opposite. Yeah, owning a house is useful, whereas owning a stock, that's useless, right? It's only useful for selling somewhere else. So, long story short, let's sum it up in just a tidbit. Your money, spend your money on things that are going to be more, worth more in use, not in money, okay? A house is one of those things. And that is true of any time. It's true of now. So, I mean, that's my perspective. If you the closer you put yourself in that position, the less you'll have to worry about, having any kind of inflation or something like that, right? Lou Collins says, again, you're right, Francis is cringe, but I think it's hard to deny the beauty and consistency of Catholic tradition up to Pius XII. I mean, well, that's what the Eastern Orthodox Church is. I'm not saying specifically. Okay, that's what the Orthodox Church is. And additionally, I think if you look at the details, you will see the changes that were in place even before that, significantly before that. Because, again, the Catholic Church was doing things like, Mary, we're going to declare that it is undeniable in the faith to say that Mary didn't ascend into heaven and all this kind of stuff. This is now literally, if you deny that or say, wait, what's the reasons for thinking that? That's an essential part of Catholic doctrine in the same way that the Trinity is. It's not like a detail that you might not know about. It's like an essential thing. So, I mean, the issue is the Catholic Church has just been accumulating this bad stuff over the centuries, and recently it's just gotten to the point where it's just, I don't know, it's hard to deny. But of course there are good aspects about Catholicism, there are still parts, especially if you're comparing it to like some kind of Protestant sect where people are like rolling on the ground and like drooling. Sure, it's going to sound like okay, but I don't know. Once, as I've said before, like once you start taking Orthodoxy seriously, it's like, yeah, Catholicism, like the appeal of it is all superseded by Orthodoxy. Like the consistency of Orthodoxy is better. Anyway, this actually goes on. Let me keep reading. Many people point to the influence of Freemasonry in the reform of the Mass, from traditional Latin Mass to the Novus Ordo. Have you attended a traditional Latin Mass? If not, I suggest you do. I've never experienced such reverence before. God bless. Well, I mean, the reverence of the Latin Mass is just what like even the most quote-unquote liberal Orthodox churches do something that's equivalent to the Latin Mass. Okay? So we do that. In fact, you guys are super liberal because you have pews, right? So yeah, I mean, the Latin Mass is just, I guess it's in Latin. That's an additional thing that adds to the I don't know, mystique of it. But of course, in the Orthodox Church, the goal is to have liturgy. You want to have liturgy in the language of the people, right? Although you do have, Slavonic is used, even though people kind of know, like there's some mutual compatibility between like Slavonic and its descendant languages, so it's not like super different. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Was I gonna say something? I don't know if I was gonna say something else about that. Iblis says, "Hi Luke, what do you think are the best resources to learn Portuguese and Japanese? Thank you for all the work you've done and continue to do what you do best." I've never learned Portuguese. I mean, it's basically like Spanish with a bad accent. Let's be real. Portuguese speakers are seething right now. Yeah, usually in European languages, I have an article on my website on this. I recommend using the Michelle Thomas tapes because they're close enough to English. You can these tapes are fantastic, but I don't think that they did one for Portuguese. So it's honestly hard for me to recommend anything for Portuguese because it's so close that, I mean, because again, from my perspective, like, so I learned Latin, right? And from Latin, I learned all these other languages almost by accident, like Spanish, or, I can read French and Italian, that kind of stuff. Like, that stuff's easy when you have a background in Latin, and Portuguese would be the same way if I seriously wanted to learn it. So I don't know if I am in a position, if you don't know, I don't know what languages you know, but off the top of my head, I honestly can't give you a recommendation other than the kind of the implicit doubling method that, I did an article talking about why you should do that for Latin, but my recommendation for every language is new learners don't understand, you need to understand the grammar of a language before you start learning it. That is one thing that I would recommend. Like, now with Portuguese, you don't really need to know that much. Like, grammatically, it's very similar to English. I guess you have to learn conjugation and all that kind of stuff, like if you don't have a background in some other conjugated language. But learn the grammar first. Like, really take it seriously as a separate thing, not as even part of the language. Like, it's a formal system aside from the language. Learn that. And the same thing is probably true of Japanese. I feel weird about saying anything about languages that I don't know. In Japanese, I never bothered learning. There's one series, I'm not going to be able to remember it. I know there's one series that all the smart people recommend for using for Japanese, but I totally forget what it is. I think it's kind of similar to the De Francis series for Chinese. Yeah, that's an interesting mix that he asked about Portuguese and Japanese. I don't know. So Anonymous says, posture check. Stand up with your arms hanging naturally. Your thumbs should point forward. Most people's thumbs point in towards the body. This is due to internal rotation of the shoulder. Bent over computers and keyboards. Split keyboards can help alleviate the problem. Oh, that's interesting. So if you stand up, your thumb should be pointing in the ideal world. I don't know. Yeah, see, I think I have the modern soy equivalent where like my thumbs point inward. I'm probably thinking about it, but yeah, I think I'm like that as well. Yeah. So I need to separate that. I've never heard that. That's interesting. I have heard, like, you gotta have the J-shaped body. Like, people before, I'm not even gonna do it. People are gonna make a meme of it, so I'm not gonna show it to you. But it's basically, like a perfectly straight back. You look ludicrous, honestly. Well, it actually feels it feels all right. And it also is a more authoritative presence. If you actually look at Donald Trump, this is how he stands. But it's basically like your back is entirely straight until the bottom, like kind of, it's like you have a tail that's going out and kind of like your butt sticks out. It's weird. But that's another thing. It's great for posture, and it actually makes you look a little taller and more authoritative. You know. So that is one thing that I've heard, and I should probably do, but that's another thing where like sitting has screwed us up, because instead of like sticking, you know, kind of, I don't know, sticking it out, we kind of slump and we kind of make this curve. So that's interesting. Yeah, I totally have a soy shoulder, man. I gotta start standing like this, you know. I guess video game characters, they stand like that, right? Take your hand, drag the fingers across your head. You should feel hair. Technically, I do feel hair, but it's not very visible. Let's see. All right, no more emails. Okay. Donald Trump straight up J posting. Yeah, he does. He does J. He posts the J. Yeah, he corrected it deposing, but whatever. Sitting on the ground like a neat. All right. Check the mail. Check the mail. All right. Yeah, I don't know how we're liking. So let's do another intermediate vote. Who wants the old screen with all this stuff on it? See, the thing is, I don't like all these URLs, but I do like the color it brings. I feel like this, and I also feel like having me as the whole screen, there is a sense in which this is the only contentful detail you care about. But I feel like it's a little too arrogant. As I said, I really need to get a fursona to use as a cartoon avatar instead of having myself on here. Oop, is my internet not... Either the chat like froze for a second, or... Okay, here it goes. Here it goes. Yeah, people like full screen. Seems like the most loud people are saying they like full screen better. Yeah, we already made fun of millennials. That was at the beginning of the video. But, yeah, I need a VTuber fursona. That's what I really need. It's going to be Buc-ee's. When Buc-ee's gives me a corporate endorsement. Guys, does anyone work for Buc-ee? Buc-ee? I don't even know how it is. H-Top with a face cam. Oh, that's an idea. I'm sorry. I hate the program H-Top. I just want to say I loathe it. Now, do I use it? Yes, but most people who use it don't use it. You know what I mean? Like, most people, they use H-Top. Here, I'm sorry, Redditors. Sorry, 4chan. I know they have a general for, like, posting desktops, but whatever. I don't know. 99% of the time when people are running H-Top, they're running it because, oh, look, it looks fancy. Let me pull it up and then take a screenshot of my screen and post it on the internet to get upcomies. Like, that's literally the function of H-Top. Dude, Buc-ee's. How do you guys not know what Buc-ee's is? Cringe. Don't call him cucky. Yeah, G-Top does look better, but still, same concept. And also, actually, do I have G-Top installed on this? Because I want, doesn't it have, oh, it's not, oh, G-Top is not in, maybe it's called GoTop in the repository. Oh, yeah, okay. There is a program called GoTop. Yeah, I'm running Void on this. Okay, yeah, there it is. I feel like that should look prettier. Anyway, yeah, here's what we're looking at. Wow, look at this. Wow, I can't wait to put this on Reddit, guys. OMG. Wow, what a hacker. What a hacker. What a freaking hacker. All right, anyway, let's go back. Wait, no, I always click on the wrong thing. There we go. Tal Jones says, how do I get Monero? Well, that's $1 million question, isn't it? Because, the central problem of cryptocurrency right now is there's no good way to get it. Like, you can get it on a Know Your Customer exchange, but then you're getting it on a Know Your Customer exchange. Now, I'll go ahead and say this. If you need to get Monero, you can go to, does Binance have Monero, or Kraken, I think, has Monero? There are some Know Your Customer exchanges that have it. If you want to do it the easy way, if you don't mind giving your ID, because in Monero, it is not as bad, because once you transfer that off, it's anonymous. Like, you're good, you're safe. The only thing that the system knows is, oh, this dude has Monero. They can't follow the transactions after that, okay? So worst case scenario, yes, you can get it from a Know Your Customer exchange. I think Kraken, and I think, I don't know about Binance. I'm not quite sure. I don't think Binance works for Americans or something. I've never had, I don't have an account either one of those places. So other places to get Monero, if you have another cryptocurrency right now, Bitcoin, there are a million sites. You can go to, actionable website, go to monero.how, because this site lists everything. There are exchanges where you don't have to register. They just say, send Bitcoin to this address and we will send you Monero or Ethereum or something else. So if you have any other kind of cryptocurrency, that's a fine way to do it. There are atomic swaps out there. I think they're working. So I think if you have Bitcoin there, but if you only have cash and you want to do it the right way, there are basically two ways to do it. One is, Local Monero. If you go to that site, just search Local Monero. That is like an eBay for Monero, where you can just you get hooked up. There are many people trying to buy and sell. You can just go there and, someone says, hey, I'm selling $200 in Monero. If someone sends me $200, I'll give them Monero, right? So it's like kind of an eBay peer-to-peer thing. That is the ideal privacy-centered way to exchange any kind of cryptocurrency, but Monero especially. If you don't want to do that, there's also, this is probably more difficult, but you can also use Bisq, which you may know of, BISQ. And that is this program you run on your computer that it's the same thing where you put out orders and exchange with people, and you can arrange to pay, I should say, on these sites. Since you're paying in a peer-to-peer fashion, you can say, oh, I'll give you cash, or I'll send you money on PayPal. It depends on what it is, right? So there are a bunch of ways to get it. It just depends on how idealist you want to be. If you're just starting out and you don't know anything, you might as well go to Kraken, buy some, transfer it off. Or if you have cryptocurrency already, I would probably, just as easier, probably easier and more ideal, would be to go to one of these swap sites. Go to monero.how. They list some out where you can send in some amount of Bitcoin to a site and they will give you Monero, right? But the ideal way is to use Local Monero. But right now, I'll just go ahead and say there's no perfect normie solution for getting cryptocurrency. That's just a fact of life as it is right now. It's hard to get into it. Once you're into it, it's great. Once you've crossed that path, because it's easy to exchange one crypto for the other on an anonymous site where there's no know your customer. But there are also a couple minor exchanges, I think Trade Ogre. There's a site called Trade Ogre, which is actually really cool because it's kind of old school, and they have a lot of cryptocurrencies, and they have Bitcoin. You can transfer Bitcoin and crap there and transfer it to Monero. It is not Know Your Customer, but you do have an account, so you might prefer that. But you can't buy in cash there, so you have to transfer on there. Right. Alex says, do you think that Latin should be easy to learn if you're a native speaker of Spanish? I ask because Spanish is my first language, and I love learning languages. Thanks for answering my previous question. I guess that was was that the Portuguese and Japanese one? I'm not quite sure. Either way, yeah, it would be easier. Yeah, definitely be easier, especially if you're a native speaker. Have you heard of the Haveno exchange? It's a pure Monero Bisq fork. Yeah, I have heard of it. I'm keeping tabs on it. I want to say there was something screwy going on with it a little bit ago, but if they put out finished. What was? Does anyone remember like the drama with that? Like they cucked out on something. I want to say maybe I'm getting that confused with Haven or whatever it was. I forget. But actually on that, yeah, Latin would be easier if you know Spanish, just because you kind of have the vocabulary, and honestly, like even learning it from English is pretty much is not difficult, because for every Latin word there's some English mnemonic, and of course there's going to be a Spanish mnemonic for it, like some word that comes from the Latin word that you can know. Okay, Vietnamese person says, I don't think white elites are exactly trying to replace whites in America. I simply don't buy this. White elites. I simply don't buy this. I don't buy the Jew thing completely. Like, once America enters a recession, immigration is going to be cut. I don't see the... No, I mean, like, you have to look at the American opinion molding class and understand that those people are a cult. Like, they're psychotic, and most of the things that they're doing now have nothing to do with self-interest. Okay? They just have not, like... Have you met a liberal in your life? Like, have you been around have you listened to what these people say to themselves when they think no one's listening? Like, the thing is, they 100% believe their own propaganda. So it's not like this self-interested, like, secret, like, a lot of people make it sound like it's this very Machiavellian thing. No, these people actually believe their own propaganda. That's, like, kind of the thing that's worst about it. Do you know about Low Tech Magazine? This isn't a donation, but I guess I'm reading it because whatever. It's just someone sent me an email in the meantime. Hey Luke, have you read Low Tech Magazine? Yes, I'm familiar with this. So I think it's guys who they run this like magazine totally on solar panels on this little tiny micro computer. I don't know if it's a Raspberry Pi kind of thing. But yeah, they do have cool articles on like all this like low tech stuff, like doing things. Well, I'll read his explanation of it out. I think it's an excellent source for finding and building technology that makes you more independent of technology. It's based on the idea that not everything has to be done in a complicated way, and old solutions are often better than the new shiny toys. Also, their solar website is pretty cool. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. It uses dithering to compress images so that their pages are not too heavy. Yeah, I recommend people to check that out. I haven't, it's not in my RSS feed right now. Maybe I should add it just as in solidarity, but I think it's an interesting site. Again, Low Tech Magazine, if anyone wants to check it out. Merlin sends in some XMR and says, I like using the Bitcoin Lightning Network to trade for Monero because it's fast. I've never done that. Maybe it's a possibility. I feel like it's kind of like most people who have Bitcoin, like they haven't used the Lightning Network in any way, shape, or form. So that, like, to recommend that as a way to get into Monero, that'd be like extra steps for them. But if it works, it works. I've never tried it. At least for exchanging Monero. Anonymous says, Luke, do you have any good do you have good understanding of computer science and stuff that comes with it in college, like discrete maths and data structures? And how did you learn it if you were studying linguistics? I mean, like I don't really think of myself as a computer science person. I mean, I do small amounts of programming, and I have the sites that I run, and I do this kind of stuff. Like, my stuff is very power user focused. It's very like kind of, I don't know, like artisanal. I'm not. Do I do math? No, basically not. Even when I was in college, when I was doing my linguistics degree, I did do some like big data stuff, but even that was not super math intensive, and stuff like discrete math I never took. Data structures, I kind of took classes that are analogous to that, but I don't think it's a prerequisite in many cases for like basic computing. Like, if you just want to like, I mean, it's obviously not a requirement for like writing basic programs and even writing very effective programs. But there is that more academic side to computer science and more like the large scale stuff that might be required for. But like, yeah, no, I don't really do that. I mean, because I'm kind of on the other end of the spectrum. Steven sends in $5. I don't think there's a comment on that. Thank you though. Have you read the book of Enoch? Yes, I have. In fact, I sell it on my site that you can buy at lindypress.net right here in the red letters. Yes, I've read the Book of Enoch. I guess I've read the other two books of Enoch too, but they're they pale in comparison. They're written much later, and whatever. They have less. Either way, they're less exciting. Especially the Hebrew. Is that the second one or the third? I always get them confused. One of the I want to say second Enoch is sometimes called the. Maybe I should actually look in it. It's sometimes called the Hebrew Enoch. It's like a non-Christian. It's like written by Jews after the Christian era, and then the third one is called the Slavonic Enoch because we have it attested to in Slavonic. And then it also comes with the Book of Jubilees. If you want to buy it on lindypress.net right now, like, comment, and subscribe. No, Enoch 3 is the Hebrew Enoch. That actually makes more sense because it was written later, I'm pretty sure. But they're less interesting. Like, the first book of Enoch is the one that's like really, it's the one that's like referred to and quoted in the Bible and like was very important for, I don't know. You guys can take the Michael Heiser pill if you want, and you can learn all about that stuff. But discrete math was fun. You missed out, lol. Oh, okay. You know what? Actually, I think I took a discrete math class in high school. Come to think of it. Like, discrete math is... Yeah, I may have. I totally forgot. So, hold on. Let me pull something up. Shoot. Shoot. Okay, so Jimmy... Let me type this out. So Jimmy sends in some Monero and says, you are critical of the Pope and Catholicism, which I agree with. Why would you choose Eastern Orthodox over a conservative high Anglican? I mean, Protestantism is just a branch of Roman Catholicism. Okay, so that's all I gotta say. Like all of the things that the Catholic Church got wrong in the Middle Ages, like the paths that they went on theologically, they're conserved in Protestantism. Okay, but at the same time, like the whole mechanization of salvation and all that kind of stuff, like whatever little liturgical changes, and at the same time, like why would you high church Protestantism? I will say that I just cannot. I don't really understand the people who do that kind of stuff, especially those who convert to it, because I think a lot of the times Protestants, like low church Protestants, like Baptists and stuff, they'll be like, oh, I want something that's like a little more. I don't know, traditional, but it's not like Baptist top 40 radio hits. So, but yeah, Catholicism, the Pope is stupid, and Orthodoxy isn't even on their radar, right? So a lot of them will like convert to like some kind of conservative Lutheranism or like Anglicanism. The thing is, like, I mean, think of it this way: like to say that is part of the unwavering church is to say that throughout the Middle Ages, as Catholicism was getting like worse and worse and like adding more heresies and creating all these things that the reformers like reformed against, that was the true strand of the church. And I don't know, that's kind of silly. I think mostly people are drawn to that kind of Protestantism because it's a little easier, it's a little more familiar, even though it has some garb of tradition. And I think, like, once you really seriously consider Orthodoxy, it's just not... I don't know. It's just not... It's not appealing. I don't know. Like, and frankly, a lot of those high church Protestants, let's be real, are super liberal. Like, they're doing all this gay stuff, and, I mean, it almost goes without saying, right? So, yeah, that's why I'm not really interested in that stuff. And then there's, like, Calvinism, where it's just, like, people who are, like... It's just intellectual pornography, and people are debating about these issues that have nothing to do... Like, it's like these people have never heard of, like... I don't know. My view with, like, Calvinism, specifically, the people who obsess about, like, free will and determinism and all that kind of stuff, is that it has nothing to do with the Christian faith. Okay, that whole debate... Like, that is basically a secular debate that you can have, like, academics nowadays, like philosophers nowadays, they have. But when it comes to religion, it is largely irrelevant. Like, yeah, God foreknows things. Okay, there's a sense in which he understands how things are going to happen, but it doesn't detract from free will if you're a non-materialist, right? That's not a problem whatsoever. Within the realm of materialism, if you think there's nothing but atoms, sure, you can say free will doesn't exist, but it's not. Anyway, what I'm trying to say though is a lot of people who get like obsessed with Calvinism in particular, they're having these debates that are just not germane to actual like. I don't know, they're talking about something that no one else in Christianity cares about. And it's not really relevant, you know? Anyway, his question goes on. He says, also, what is the best method to buy land in rural places? What things should I look out for? Okay, so I need to do a video on this. I've been meaning to. I'll probably do it this next week, okay? Or maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'll record it tomorrow or something, as soon as I get the chance. But I'll go ahead and give you a preview. So, you can look online, but yeah, looking online is like the worst stuff in the world. So I'll go ahead and tell you this. When I moved, when I found a place, I thought I was getting like a fantastic deal when I bought my land. Okay, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like so much cheaper than stuff in the city. I'm actually gonna be able to buy this thing. Like I'm gonna be able to pay it off. Like, you know, it's gonna be great, right? I thought I was getting a great deal, but here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna move to a place. And as you actually meet people, as you like have a larger social circle, you are going to have connections, and you're going to realize, oh wow, I could get this or that or that or that. And most of this stuff in the real world is not going to show up on the internet, realistically speaking. Okay, that's just how it is. So my recommendation is, firstly, you have to travel to the places you're thinking about going to. And this is what I did. Like, I remember I did videos, actually, when I was in Tennessee looking for land, right? And, you know, you have to go there. You have to physically be there. And it's actually better if you plant your roots and you figure out, you know, oh, I'm going to live here for a little bit. I'm going to live here for 1 year and then figure out what to buy. That's actually the even better to do. Even if you have to, like, rent. Like, get a super cheap place to rent. Okay, that's fine. Let's say you get a job, you try and get a job in the country, you say, hey, I'm thinking about moving out here. They're going to be like, oh my goodness, you have a college degree? Oh, wow. Like, you can be president, you know? So, like, they're desperate in need of, like, every school, every business, every, like, public service or like, government. They're all looking for jobs, okay? So you can get a job, you can locate yourself to a place, and just spend time, get to know the people, go to church, meet the people at church, you know, I don't know. And opportunities will arise. And that actually is the best place of where to find land. Once you've set yourself on a region. Especially nowadays, I was looking the other day, when I did my video, I was thinking about doing this video about talking about getting land. When I don't know, a couple weeks ago when I did this video on like buying, I forget exactly, you know, videos on that topic. But I actually kind of got blackpilled when I looked at land prices now. Things are like twice as expensive as they were before. We might be in, I don't know, a decrease in, a significant crash in prices might be in the future sometime soon. But either way, I kind of got blackpilled by the prices and I put off doing a video. But I would just recommend people don't fixate on things on the internet. Go there in real life. Just go on vacation for a week or two. Get to know people in town, right? That's the kind of stuff that you got to do. You got to physically put yourself there. You got to stop being like awkward on the internet, right? So that's the thing that everyone hates to hear if they're awkward on the internet, but that's how it is. That is how it is. Azriel says, what's your favorite JavaScript library for front-end? Thoughts on WordPress versus Webflow? That, people, is a satirical comment. So we can all have a hearty chuckle on that one. Anonymous sends in some XMR and says, have you heard of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad? What do you think of it? I know that's like a Robert, some Japanese name, some Japanese dude. Robert Kiyosaki, I want to say. No, I mean, I'm aware that book exists because like my boomer ex-girlfriend's dad read it, and I think it had an impact on him, and he started, like, during the housing crash, he actually bought up a lot of properties. Okay, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this book like changed my life or whatever. You know, I'm getting rich." I think he was a big fan of. I don't know any. Like, I'm very skeptical of like boomer finance. I don't know if he's kind of. I don't know. I don't know if he's like that. I don't know what his recommendations are. So, no endorsement. I don't know anything about it. No disendorsement. I just, you know, I'm skeptical of boomer stuff. Luke Collins says, "There's a nice abstract way of looking at programming languages and theoretical computer sciences." Which ranks them in hierarchy, which is analogous to what Chomsky did for formal grammars. In fact, In fact, we still call it the Chomsky hierarchy. You probably heard of the term Turing complete. That's like the top level in this hierarchy. I know you're not a big fan of his. Have you ever come across Maltese in your study of linguistics? It's an interesting language, since it's the only Semitic language that uses the Latin alphabet, plus it has a lot in common with the Romance languages. Yeah, of course I'm aware of the... in the field, and like they're just, I don't know, they just kind of don't know what was happening. And so like modern linguists, basically, if you talk to about a Chomsky hierarchy around them, they will have no clue what you're talking about. They just have no clue. That's like your average linguist nowadays. They might know that the term is a term. They might like even name drop it, but they're not gonna know what that means. I'll get it. That's honestly like a computer science term now, because people don't even talk about it in linguistics anymore, because like, I mean, really the problem with generative grammar is like it stopped doing formal analysis, and now it pretends to be something different. It pretends to be something like psycholinguistic. But yeah, I'm familiar with Maltese. Actually, at Arizona, there were a bunch of people who did work on Maltese specifically for that reason, because it uses the Latin alphabet despite being in a language similar to Arabic with root and template morphology. So it's easier to do corpus analysis of it, like big data text analysis, because it's easier to do that with Latin characters. So yeah, I'm familiar with, I'm aware. I never did work on it, but I'm aware of it. So Alex sends in some XMR. Do you have any advice for getting over someone? Oh, you mean like simping? Simp advice. I'm recently, within the past 6 months, friends again with an ex-girlfriend from several years ago, and I'm worried I'm falling for her again. Yeah, no simping, dude. That's, what do you mean invite? Like, you shouldn't be around her. Like, if that's how if you're simping, like the whole like let's be friends after we have a relationship, that is nonsense. Utter like when you that's why I'm so hard on people who like want to date. It's especially people in like their kind of friend, like it's always going to be awkward and weird. Well, let's be realistic. Like if you're in a good Christian environment where you're not having sex, it's not a big deal. Okay. But if you are having sex, it is a big deal. Okay. That's really the dividing line. Like when you have a sexual relationship with someone outside of marriage, you have to realize that if it doesn't work with them, you are burning that bridge with them forever. You will never have a normal relationship with them afterwards. That's just how it is. Okay. So yeah, I mean, the only advice obviously I can give you is just get over it. And that people don't want to hear that's the advice that people want to hear least, even though it's like, you know, what are you going to do? It's like the just be confident bro advice. But yeah, physically separate yourself from her. Don't let yourself do that. That's pathetic. You should surround yourself with someone who's going to make fun of you for doing that. You can imagine me making fun of you whenever you're simping for this girl. Okay, that'll help you. Just be confident, bro. Just be better, bro. Don't be worse. Yeah, exactly. I mean, here's what people hate to hear, okay? People hate to hear the fact that the solution to most of their life problems are right in front of them, and they could solve them at basically any point. That's what people hate to hear. They want to make their problems more complicated than they actually are, because that justifies not doing anything about them. And again, do I do this? Oh yeah, I do this. Absolutely I do this, right? And I should be making fun of myself for it, okay, when I do it. But, you know, basically your life is not so much overcoming external external things, a lot of times it's like you overcoming your own coping, dude. Like, you got to get over that. Does Starlink cut out a lot? I have noticed that Starlink is cutting out significantly less in this live stream than it has in previous live streams. So, how do people feel about that? Have I been talking a lot and, like, parts go out? I don't even know. You should program a Siri equivalent with your voice giving unsolicited chide to soy devs. Okay. There really does need to be, like, an open source... a bunch of open source language tools that don't exist, including speech synthesis. There might be... I know there's, like, eSpeak, but that's... I mean, the default voices sound like crap. Yeah. I mean, it's not cutting out on my side. Like, it's been green basically the entire live stream. There are probably 1 or 2 times where it, like, stopped being green. So, from my side, it looks like the internet's pretty good today. How much money... Just Son says, how much money did you spend on books on the shelves? Yeah, that is my vice... For many years of my life, like, my one consume product thing was buying books. Like, you know me, like, I'd be like, bro, I'm not going to spend $5 on a meal. That's way too much. I'm going to save that. But then I'd be like, oh, this book sounds interesting. Let me spend $20 on it. Actually, no. I buy all my books from eBay, so they're as cheap as possible. But I guess the more expensive ones can be around $20. Yeah, I've spent a lot of money over the... I mean, a lot of quote-unquote, a lot of money. I mean, probably there was a... I haven't bought books. I will say this. I haven't bought books really in the past, like, 2 years or so. I bought basically zero because I'm pretty happy with what I have. I think maybe this year, maybe I bought, like, 1 or 2. Just small ones that don't cost much. But, yeah, there have been periods of my life where I definitely spend more money on books than I do on clothes. I think most people probably spend a couple $100 a year on, you know, clothing. I would... There are probably periods in my life where I'd spend that on books. But it's not like that much, you know, it's just a little bit. It adds up, you know. I'm like, oh man, I spent like a month of rent on books this year or something. I don't know. I don't know if it's... I've never actually done a count of how much I've spent on them, but I always felt like I'd spend a lot of money on them. So, but, you know, it's not like all at once. It's just been, like, gradually every 2 weeks I'll be like, oh, yeah, this sounds good. I'll spend a little on that. But as I said, like, I'm pretty happy with what I have now. I haven't, you know, bought that much more. Luke Collins says, in Malta, where I live, schools are trying to transition to co-ed. What's your opinion about mixing genders in schools? I went to an all-boys school all my life. Yeah, I think it's in general, I mean, I don't think there's a massive... difference, but in general, I think it's definitely better not to have co-ed. I think it's infinitely better to have a boys' school and a girls' school, because boys and girls in real life, again, this is something that, like, people in the West hate to hear. Boys and girls are dramatically different, and even from young ages, like, they need to be catered to in a different way. And the strategy in Western countries now is to, like, feminize education to the maximum degree. Like, just have the, like, most trivial, girly, organized assignments, and then, like, humiliating assignments that are, like, quirky and, like just stuff that men or even little boys will hate and cringe at, you know? Like, if you as a man did not go through elementary school just cringing at everything I mean, maybe in elementary school you probably just do it, right? You don't care. But I think as I got into, like, 4th grade, 5th grade, middle school, I was like, why are they making us do all this stupid, humiliating stuff? Like, these are just cringe assignments. Like, men and women, like, they just look at things differently. And I think by the same token, obviously, like, no normal man wants to, like, teach freaking elementary school. Like, that's a girl thing to want to do. There are some guys who can do it, but, like, male teachers are just better, like, for teaching men. And honestly, I think a lot of times they're better for teaching girls as well. Sometimes that might just be because, like, I'll say anecdotally, most kids I've talked to, they always prefer male teachers, especially when they're in elementary school. But I don't know if that's just because they're, like, novel. Oh, wow, I got a male teacher. But I think there is something to be argued that like once you get to third, fourth, fifth grade, like you definitely need more kind of male authority as opposed to like younger grades. I don't know, it's more like a female thing. But definitely in high school, I don't know. Well, I mean, I've met plenty of girls who are good at great at high school teaching or whatever, but I think everyone understands that kind of scale. Then you get in the college level where it's just it's not even worth talking about. Austrasian says Ayn Rand was right when she said women can't reason. That's like all Cretians are liars. Ayn Rand says all women are morons. That's very funny. Is she right? Yeah, I don't know. Or it's like Ann Coulter, like women should. Ann Coulter saying women shouldn't be involved in politics. Where's the lie? All right. Kids don't have dads. At least give them male teachers. Yeah. I could never be an elementary school teacher. I could never do that in my life. I could never do that. I just, Luke, what do you think about not having sex till marriage? Yeah, that's how everyone should do it. Schools are childcare and obedience. Do as you're told. Don't try and understand. They get you prepared to be slaves is all. Yeah, I mean, that's basically true. But I mean, I'm talking about in the idealistic world, right? I mean, realistically speaking, yeah, school is nowadays to make you a wagey. To, like, the way that I would look at, like, grade school is it's kind of like the cartoons that kids watch. So, cartoons are, okay, so, there's, like, episodic cartoon, wait, I always get them confused. Like, so there are some shows where, like, advancement happens every episode, and then there are some where, like, everything, like, there's no linear trail. It's the same stuff. Every episode is, like, one story, and everything ends exactly where it started, right? So, if you look at children's cartoons, all of them are like that. They're all like, there's no progress. You know what I mean? It's the same thing over and over and over again. And I think we underestimate the sense in which that affects how children look at the world. And it's the same way in school, okay? It's like during the course of school, you have these assignments that you just do. There's no, like, they're not really, I mean, they're just kind of in themselves. They're not building on anything else. You're not accomplishing anything other than, oh, now I'm done with this grade, right? There's no, like, because you're doing made-up assignments that don't have anything to do with the real world, it really ingrains in people this totally impotent view of the world where they are powerless. They can't do anything because everything is just the same over and over and over again. And when people, we were talking about this just a second ago, when people say, oh, why can't I get motivated? Why can't I blah, 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 blah? That mindset comes from the fact that from the day you were born, you were given this view of the world where you don't affect it. Okay, you do what you're told to do. You can't affect the world. So the only place for you is not self-employment. It's like you getting a job where someone tells you what to do. Okay? So that, I think the modern mindset is significantly shaped by children's media, children's education, and a lot of it does instill this, like, this repeating and miserable, and like at the time you might not think it's miserable, but it does instill a kind of apathy, right? And that's why kids think that, like, when they're young, it's going to last forever. That's one of the reasons they feel like that, because, oh, yeah, well, look at my favorite cartoon. I don't know, Hey Arnold. I don't know what kids watch nowadays. Definitely not Hey Arnold. Not Rugrats. I'm trying to think of Recess. That's one that my brother's age of kids watched. But, like, shows where nothing happens. Like, that's their model for the world. So it gives them this view of the world where none of their actions matter. They can't affect anything. And they just have to respond to things that are given to them. Okay? Yeah, they watch YouTube now. I guess. It's the same. It is the same stuff over and over again, right? Let's see what, I don't know, the Paul brothers are doing. I don't know why I use them as an example. Just because it's like the only YouTuber I know that normies watch. Like the Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Thoughts on Nick Land? I have literally no thoughts on Nick Land. Weirdly enough, he's like the one guy in that sphere I never read. I don't even know. I have no... If you ask me, what was... I know he has this kind of like accelerationist stuff. But I'm not even... I really just don't know. I never read his stuff. Like, that's all I can say. I don't have opinions on him. I will say sometimes people talk about his accelerationism, and it sounds kind of screwy to me, but I don't know enough about it to be like, okay, this is stupid that he says, because again, I haven't read his stuff. Scooby-Doo, yeah, I like Scooby-Doo. School taught me about social hierarchy. School taught me about a lot of red-pilled stuff, but that was not part of the curriculum. I guess we talked about where I grew up in the last episode, the last live stream, but I mean the place I grew up was not like the hood. It was just weird. I think we were talking about my middle school that was like 10% white or something like that. But I learned a lot about the world. Okay, let's see. What's my favorite show? I think you know that answer. Imagine watching TV. You know me, I'm just anti-fun. I can't have, I'm just against it. Can't have any fun, don't watch TV. Don't play video games. Nickelodeon used to be 5 cents for movies and shows a long time ago. Inflation adjusted to about $100. Wow. Many such cases. Your vids on rural living inspired me to move out of the city. Good. That's great. It's pretty good. All right. Okay. I gotta get my phone to look at that one. I think it's a Cash App or something. Okay, so Logan says, how's the family? Any IRL projects you're filling up your time with? Oh, well, both of those are questions that I don't answer. Actually, let's see. IRL projects that I could tell you about. I don't know. I'm kind of private about stuff like family stuff. Yeah, I don't know. IRL projects, nothing super interesting to be honest. I'm actually just trying to enjoy the summer because I'm trying to take some time to do stuff with people because a lot of people are off work because there are a lot of teachers around here. So I don't have any big projects. My garden this year was a disaster. I'll say that because I was out of town for like 2 months. And so like right now the only thing left is like I think there are a couple watermelons and some okra that like never actually grew okra. I don't know why, but no big projects. My family's fine though. Like, I'm not gonna give you specifics though. Okay. All right. I think my internet's out. Sorry. Okay. No, I think it went. Where did my? Okay, there it is. Didn't want to drink it out of this one because this one's almost empty. Do you carry guns? I do not have a gun on me right now, on my person. I don't need a gun right now. Do you have favorite science fiction? I read so little fiction that basically no. I think the fictional authors that I've read could basically be counted on one hand, like Jorge Luis Borges, Lovecraft. I've read all the stuff that they've written. Who else have I read? But that's usually how it is. They're probably shoot. I know there are other authors, but basically what I'll do, I'll just find one guy whose stuff I kind of like, and I'll read everything by him. And then I don't really read science fiction or any genre. I kind of read, I guess, by person, not by topic, and I'm not super interested in science fiction. I've read some Heinlein stuff, but I'm not a massive fan. Or Philip K. Dick as well. I'm not a massive, like, some of his stuff's kind of interesting, but you know, that's why they make movies out of it. But it took me a lot, and for the first 25 years of my life, I never read any fiction whatsoever. I should say that. It was only, I don't know why, I just decided, like, I actually, in my 20s, maybe people who know, well, I don't know if people who knew me would even recognize this, but if you could see into my brain, my mindset changed so much from, like, 15 to where I am now. Like, and basically it was always just me getting less autistic. And I don't mean that in a bad, as if, like, being autistic is bad, but I mean, like, I was way more, like, analytical, whereas now, like, I'm militantly, like, meta-analytical. I'm like, I don't even trust my own brain sometimes, you know? Same, I basically read all of Brandon Sanderson and Owen Koffler. Yeah, I had a girlfriend who was massive on Brandon Sanderson. She was, like, huge. She read, like, all of his stuff all the time. And, like, I think once or twice I was like, so tell me about the lore of this. And she just, like, went on for an hour, and I was like, well, I don't remember any of that, but okay. So, yeah, I don't know. Some of that stuff, like, I guess also the fiction that I've read is mostly short stories, because I'm kind of intimidated by really long books, because honestly, with fiction, I just don't have an attention span. Need to get less autistic on it. Well, I think the thing about me being less autistic as time went on, it was like, it just kind of happened. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to decide to be different. I don't know if it was my brain growing up, or like me, you know, it's probably me stop eating, like, soy foods and processed foods and start drinking water out of a well instead of fluoridated crap. I don't know. I will say, I may have said this in a live stream years ago, but I do feel when I started drinking water out of a well, like, from the ground, basically spring water, I do feel like my persona changed a good bit. Like, I became more, maybe, like, uncompromising. Like, I was probably more docile when I used to drink fluoridated water. But the thing is, I don't know, maybe that's just me looking at the past and, I don't know, thinking things are different. My internet. My internet. I can't stream. Okay, so Luke sends in another $2. I remember one stream you said you had a few hot takes on personal hygiene. What are your thoughts on deodorant and antiperspirant? What about brushing teeth? I heard a few fluoride-related tinfoil hat theories on the latter. So, when it comes to deodorant, I absolutely do not use it. What I use is, this is something I got from, like, Roosh V years ago, that I, like, randomly read before I ever, I don't know, really even, before he even became, like, a Christian. But he used baking soda. Like, use baking soda instead of deodorant. It sounds nutty, but you get one box of baking soda for, like, $2 or $3. It's going to last you for years and years. Just take a little bit, put some water on it, and put it under your arms. and that will like just totally kill all smells. I mean, if you get really close, it'll smell a little like baking soda, but no one's gonna notice that. Like you're not gonna notice it. And that's great for deodorant, antiperspirant. There's no freaking weird chemicals. It's just baking soda. I will say I've had some friends who've said that it's hard for them to do that because I think it has something to do with the acidity of your arms. But if you put it on the first time and you're itching or something, like, or you break out, I mean, you know, I don't know. Well, you probably put too much. But for me, it's fantastic. Like, since I heard that, like, I read that on, like, Rush's blog, like, years ago. And it's like, that's freaking insane and weird. And then I tried it, and I was like, I have never looked back. So I've never bought deodorant since. I'm never going to. And honestly, I do feel like people wear deodorant way too much. I think on days where I'm not going to be out and sweating, I will not wear it if I've, like, bathed recently. And that's like a personal thing. Like if you're more sweaty, like if you're like Roosh and you're like more like Near Eastern, and you like sweat more, you got more hair, more body odor, like you might need to do that. But like for lower body odor people, that's, you know, it's pretty easy to go without using deodorant all the time. Okay. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. Looks like it's going. So on brushing teeth, yeah, I will also say brushing teeth is basically for removing sugar. Like if you have a high sugar diet, you will realize that after you eat sugar, you're going to need to brush your teeth. If you don't eat sugar, brushing your teeth is basically, I don't want to say entirely superfluous, but it's mostly superfluous because that's mostly what you're doing is you're removing that stuff that like bacteria is going to eat and like eat your teeth. So, like, if you have a low-sugar diet, which you should, brushing teeth is less necessary. Although I will say, like, there have been plenty times in my life where I have, like, a super low-sugar diet, and I floss more than I brush my teeth. It's definitely, it is definitely one of those things that, you know... And when I do brush my teeth, I usually use, like, the kind of baking soda, Arm & Hammer stuff, which theoretically does have fluoride. But, I don't know. I'm not super picky about toothpaste right now. Maybe I should be, but... Crypto I like sends in some XMR and says, PayPal is apparently letting you withdraw crypto. I think it might help me get normies, pay me in BCH or Litecoin, and then convert to Monero. Do you think this will impact crypto usage? Well, I mean, if people use it, that's interesting. I haven't heard of that. I know that I've heard that PayPal's like flirting with crypto stuff, but of course it'd be better if, you know, they just let you redeem it in Monero. But I mean, anything helps. I'm sure it would help a little bit. So Luke says again, speaking of autism, I get into arguments frequently with people on the fact that things like the spectrum, ADHD, dyslexia, etc., aren't rigorously defined scientifically. It's not like you can do an MRI and get a diagnosis for Asperger's. You just sit in a room with a guy with a clipboard for 15 minutes. Even though it's worthwhile to observe certain traits correlate high intelligence, social awkwardness, etc., these fields tend to use medical terms like diagnosis and end up putting people in proverbial boxes. And these are precisely the sort of people to whom doing something like that does more harm than good, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I think that's doubtless. I think, and the other thing is like, and people at least say autism is a spectrum, which is true. Like it's like there's no cutoff. It's just like this is a personality, I don't know, constellation, right? And people are talking about it as if it's, I don't know. Yeah, I totally agree. I've done videos on this. I did that video years ago that's like, you're not autistic, you're normal, or something like that. Where actually, is that even on that? I know I kind of talk about autism, and like some people with real autism, like extreme autism, will post on that video like, I don't get it, this is not about autism, I don't understand, could you please explain this for me? But yeah, dyslexia, ADHD is like, if you don't have ADHD, you're freaking, I don't know what's wrong with you. I guess you were born wagey or something if you don't have ADHD or ADD or whatever. That's just called being a normal human, you know? Personality constellation like a horoscope? Yeah, just like a horoscope. Okay. Internet seems to be working. I'm going to check on the chat. See if there's someone saying anything interesting. Blah, 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 blah. Luke, new tip, you can use # instead of slash when using said. So you can remove single slash. Yeah, I mean, you can do that with any character. I usually use pipe if I'm using an alternative character. But yeah, you can do that. A lot of people don't because they just see people who use slashes all the time. Look at my bad posture. Oh, got a J pose. Oh, J posing. Yeah, and I gotta put my thumbs forward. Actually, yeah, my back does hurt. So anonymous sentence, Monera. You talk about normies spending so much. Your talk about normies spending so much reminded me of my roommate. He's going to school to be a doctor, and has said to his other med school friend, "But family doctors only make $180K on average." Lol, that's kind of funny. What are you gonna say? Yeah, that is one, like, doctors. If you actually, I guess being a doctor has to be a calling, because like to make any amount of at that point, like if you're making 180, or I don't know, I don't know what like a doctor working in a hospital makes. I'm gonna assume, let's assume it's like $500,000 or $250,000. I don't know, who knows. But like that lifestyle where you're just wage eating all the time and that's your life, that would be a freaking... It's like, what's the money even going to? What are you going to spend your money, you know? I don't know. It's funny. So, some people are like... I mentioned Sam Hyde earlier in this video, and like how different his financial advice is from mine. Like he's one of those, bro, you got to be making money all the time. I'm not gonna waste my time, you know, spending 30 minutes to save $500 because my time is worth more than that. You know, that kind of stuff. Just that whole lifestyle seems so stressful. You know, I don't know. Maybe they're built for it, and I'm not. Like, I'm just not interested in that. But I like the ability, if the old lady down the street texts me and says, "I need you to move this box, Luke. Can you move it?" Okay, I like being able to do that. Like, and I feel like I would be a sociopath if I said, "Nah, bro. I mean, my time's worth, you know, around $2,000 an hour. So you better pay up. I mean, frankly, because I'm a busy dude. Look at all the stuff. I got a YouTube channel. I could be recording videos right now. Like, I could be, you know, doing stuff on GitHub. I could be writing software. Like, I'm very important. You know, like I would just feel like an absolute idiot, like a fool, if not just a bad person, but also if I were actually that busy. I would just feel it'd be a miserable life. I don't know how people could do that, but whatever. If you want to be a doctor and you work all the time, that's fine. Whatever. That's cool. That's cool. And I understand why you would make so much for that. But yeah, 180 to be a family doctor, if that's really, that's a lot more than I expected. But that's cool. Yeah, people say that's, oh yeah, Sigma male grind set. I'm actually a boomer. I probably said this in a stream. I didn't know the like Sigma male grind set meme. Like, I had to be, like, my brother had to explain that to me one day. I was like, what is Sigma, what is this Sigma male stuff? And it basically is you do something embarrassing or stupid or obnoxious, and then you're like, yeah, Sigma grind set, brah. I'm doing it my way. I don't even understand. It's just like some kind of, whatever. My brother used the example, oh yeah, bruh, yeah, I just took a dump in my pants in public, but whatever, Sigma grind set, man. The memes are very funny to me now. Oh, looks like, where'd my phone go? Where'd my telephone go? Logan says, the internet connection has been fine the whole time. Never noticed blips. Oh, well, that's amazing. Plus, side to ADHD diagnosis is those sweet... Wait, and then it ends. Maybe the message goes on, but now I'm getting like all these texts from normies. Gotta decide what to cook for tomorrow. Oh, what is this? Oh, shoot. Oopsie, there's something. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, gotta do... I haven't checked my phone all day, so I realize I have all these messages. Sorry, from Normie. I don't want to be an incel and look at my cell phone all the time. I just... so, all these people are like, wow, why weren't you responding? Sorry, normies. The worst thing that having a YouTube channel ever did to me is before, I used to be a total simp for responding to text messages. Like, I'd be that guy, I'd respond, I was super punctual, I didn't want to leave any ambiguity, I would always be the last guy to say, okay, see you tomorrow, or like, I'd always give closure to every conversation, you know what I mean? Now it's like, I'll receive, and it's because, like, when I started my YouTube channel, I started getting so many comments, and I started getting so many emails, I just got used to, like, ignoring things, and not feeling too bad about it. But when it's people in real life, I should feel bad. Because I'm basically doing what I said a second ago that, you know, well, not exactly, but like, where it's like, bro, my time's important, blah, blah, blah. But, of course, I don't actually believe that. It's just like, you know, I forget to answer my phone, you know? Let's see. All right. 8 o'clock, take a dump. 8:30, rise from bed. Sigma grind set. Yep. Hey, I need to turn on my AC. I always turn my AC off during my live stream so it doesn't make sounds. That's actually not a Sigma grind set thing. That's like a neurotic. I'm gonna turn it on because I don't care. Hey, if it's too loud, you're just gonna have to put up with it. Sigma grind set, okay? I'm gonna turn that thing on because I'm getting a little warm in here. All right. That's right. You guys probably can't even hear it. I don't know. It doesn't matter either way. How many sends in $2 Australian. Should we fork society and civilization? I mean, every sensible person is already doing that. You know, I was. Yeah, I'm gonna save that one for later. Gonna save that hot take for later. Hey, by the way, I'm randomly reminded based on a long train of related things in my head that just went through them. If nag Justin Murphy to do the interview with me that we've said we're going to do like for years. Because he said he was going to come out. He was going to come visit me. Or we're going to meet up somewhere and we're going to do something. So if you're a Justin Murphy person, nag him about that. Just don't say I sent you. Just be like, bruh. You know, just do that. I actually saw a video on his channel the other day, and like people are like, "When are you going to interview Luke?" But anyway, Luke, were you ever an atheist or non-Christian? Yes, for like 10 cringe years of my life. Like. When my life was like wrong, when I was doing everything, well, that's not totally wrong, but like, you know. Marcio says, is democracy a pipe dream? Is it impossible to fix it? Yeah, I don't know, you're still holding out hope for democracy. I mean, the thing is, it's not that I think that democracy doesn't live to its ideals. I wouldn't want it to live to its ideals anyway. Like, democracy is fundamentally, like, it is rule by rumor mill. It's rule by consent of everyone else. It's like you don't have rights unless like normies. I don't know unless normies have like not been nudged to like hate you for some reason. You know, it's stupid. Like there's no ideal. I've never been a proponent of democracy as like a voting method or a method of political control. I think it's delusional. A lot of people will use the term democracy in like kind of Jeffersonian democracy. I mean, well, you have to be clear about this. Like 300 years ago, democracy meant something really different. Like when Alexis de Tocqueville wrote Democracy in America, when he was using the term democracy, that meant something pretty specific. It was like, in America, they don't have social class. Like, they don't have aristocrats and, like, different, that doesn't exist. Now, of course, we have social class in in an incidental way. And there's, like, we all know there is a social stratum, a social strata in every society. But de Tocqueville's point is it's not formalized. Like, it's not like, oh, you have to be of this class to join that, and you only get these privileges then, right? So democracy had a very different meaning back then. And when he's writing Democracy in America, which is actually a fantastic book to read, I actually don't own that book because it's pretty... I think I have, like, an abridged version that's this big. I think the real thing is beefy. But it's a really well-written book in, like, early America. It was like this French guy who came to America. That Jeffersonian democracy is actually somewhat close to the things that I advocate in some ways, where it's like personal independence, like property ownership and things like that. So the term is hairy, and nowadays, like, what democracy is, and this is very simple. Democracy is ruled by the opinion molding class, okay? Because formally speaking, the people, quote unquote, vote to elect people. But of course, people are a manipulatable, like, by themselves, they don't have enough political power to do anything. Their vote share is so small. So who does have power is the people that can move, who can engineer opinion, right? So democracy, like when like the media used to say things like, "Oh wow, Trump won. This is a disaster for democracy," right? That's literally true, because democracy means the rule by the media, the rule by universities, by the opinion molding class, yada 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 yada, right? So, and that's what the term actually means, and that's not like, what it means in natural, inevitable results, right? So when I talk about democracy, that's what I mean there. And the whole the word association game of let's associate like good fuzzy words with democracy is kind of, it's not serious, because when you sit down and look at it, it's a system, and it's a system that is basically the easiest system to exploit. So whatever, yeah, democracy is stupid. That goes with that. I don't know who is pro democracy nowadays. I don't know, normies, basically normies. That's like the. I'm trying to think of a meme that sums that up, but there are memes like that. All right, let me check my mail. So, Luke again says, when people talk rationally about religion, i.e., e.g., justifying beliefs to satisfy some Darwinian thing, doesn't that act to subvert the beliefs? Be practicing Catholics. But they talk about their own religion as if it's some kind of societal phenomenon that arose the same way that Dawkins describes it. It seems like cognitive dissonance to me, but I don't know. Well, so, in Christian theology, obviously, well, in the Western church, there's a very explicit tradition of, like, natural law, okay, and natural theology. But even, like, in the Bible, right? So, in the first chapter of Romans, obviously, Paul talks about the fact that, like, basically everyone in the world has some implicit, like, there is a sense in which everyone understands, like, moral law, okay? That's not something that comes specifically from some religious tradition. Like, there is a sense in which, yeah, there is, like, a Darwinian, let's not say Darwinian, let's say, like, a kind of socio-biological, or maybe, like... There's a difference between social and antisocial behavior, Like, there are reasons for that independent of specific divine commands. And I don't think that is I see where you're coming from, where you're saying, oh, if we didn't have that, there'd be a much greater reliance on, like, religion explicitly. But I don't think that's... I think we need to disambiguate things that are kind of natural law things. This is not to, like, give my endorsement of, like, natural law theory in general, but I think it's a legitimate concept to talk about. Like, there are some things that you can sit down with very simple moral premises and reach kind of sensible conclusions inevitably, without needing to refer to specific religions or anything like that. I don't think that's like, too questionable. And obviously, like, atheists have written on this. Dawkins is a modern I mean, there were people earlier in like earlier American atheists and stuff like back in the 1800s or whatever. But yeah, I don't think that undercuts religion at all, or the need for a religion, because like really like the other screwy thing. Well, let's talk about this. There's this idea, and this is what liberals do nowadays. Liberals will try to like make morality this culture-specific thing. Like they'll try and say that, oh, marriage is something that like Christians made up, and like they forced it on other cultures. Like I don't know why is it in China? I don't know. They forced it on them or something, or like all of these things that they don't like. Wow, transgenderism is something that we made up. Oh, that's just like a Christian thing. Oh no, that's totally the Christian notion that men and women are different. You'll see that kind of talk with them all the time. And it's kind of similar. There is this tendency for them to like totally detether morality from reality. And if anything, when you're saying something like, oh, morality, like there is no natural law, or there's nothing similar to natural law, that you're kind of feeding into that. So anyway, I think there was another. I don't think that's yeah, okay. So Logan said. Osho once said, oh yeah, this is a favorite. This is a hilarious quote that you can look up. Osho once said, democracy basically means, you got to see the original video for this. Democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people, but the people are retarded. And then he goes on to say, which he doesn't include in this because it's probably not long enough, therefore democracy is rule of the retarded, for the retarded, by the retarded, which is true. So, but it does miss the bigger point is not that people are stupid. The bigger point is that stupid people are manipulatable by the powers that be. So like the media or the information molding class, they can mold opinions in the way that they want, and they functionally are the leaders, the people who run society, right? Okay, so Bucky's merch. You know, Luke, when, not if, you get a sponsorship with Bucky's to make t-shirts with them, you should include your website links in the poopy fashion, like on your stream. Wow, that's a great idea. Like this. Yeah, whoa! Like the Luke Smith XYZ in some peculiar color, like cyan blue, under the Bucky's logo on a red shirt. I will be the first one to buy. Yes, I need this. I need a Bucky's picture. I need to meme this corporate sponsorship into reality. Someone out here has to work for Bucky's. Someone has to be high up on Bucky's. Can someone please get me a Bucky's sponsorship? Okay. Sorry, we're all unemployed here. You guys need to get jobs at Bucky's, okay? If you want a wage cuck, go work for Bucky's. Bucky's has got to be based. They actually have signs out there that say they're, I don't know, paying $15 at a minimum. So you wagey starting out, go work for Bucky's. You know, get to know your manager. Talk to him about me getting a Bucky's sponsorship. I will wear Bucky's merch in every single video, as long as I get it free. You know, I mean that's well, I'm gonna be on the payroll of Bucky's. I'm gonna be shilling Bucky's merch. For people who don't know, Bucky's is like a giant gas station in America. That's basically what it is. Of course, to even call it a gas, it's somewhere between a gas station and a mall. It's hard to explain. And there are very few of them. There are like a dozen of them, but they're on these interstates, and they have like 5 million gas pumps. It's like somewhere. It's hard to explain. It's like something from another dimension. It's like if America, like someone trying to make a stereotype of America, like in a dream. Like I have these weird dreams. Okay, I'll tell you some kind of recurring dreams that I have. They're basically like AmeriCorps dreams. And Buc-ee's could theoretically be a part of this, but I'll have these dreams where I'm in what's kind of like a shopping mall. Or it's really like, just imagine like a massive, like the entire planet is filled not with skyscrapers, but more like just interiors of like shopping mall kind of businesses, and like they're all kind of like glowing stuff, and like you're walking all over the place. I will have dreams that take place in places like that, which is weird because I'm like I never go shopping, you know what I mean? This is not a place I'm at, but it's like ingrained in my psyche, and they're very difficult to explain. Or I'll have dreams, I'll go to the bathrooms in these places, and they'll just be like toilets as far as the eye can see. Like, this is the kind of dreams that I have, where it's just like, I don't know. But I feel Buc-ee's is like the same thing. It's like that for gas stations. Like, and you go inside, and it's like this extreme mall of like merch, and like they have all this food, and it's just, I don't know, it's so weird. I don't know. Heckin' liminal Buc-ee's core. Yeah. Yeah, AmeriCorps, that needs to be a thing. It's hard to, like, I wish, if I were an artist, I would want to put this on I wish I could explain to an artist. If someone is looking for this, I need to sit down with people, and we need to get this out there, because I feel if it's ingrained in my psyche, it will resonate with other people. It's difficult to explain. Everyone's saying liminal. It's heckin' liminal. I only just discovered that word like last week, but it is very liminal. But it's like not it's not fully, because I'll have these dreams where I'm like going on missions through like it's like part shopping mall, part university, part I don't know, high school. It's hard to explain. It's like I don't know, man. Watch the Backroom series on YouTube, Luke. Trigger warning. Yeah, as I said, I found this liminal stuff last week, and I haven't looked at stuff like that up on YouTube, but I'm gonna pull that out. I'm gonna Backroom. Like, I'm gonna guess that it's more like vacant stuff, and my dreams are not like that. They're more like, yeah, it's not quite like that. It's more, it's like lived in place. Like people are there. But it's just the architecture of it. It's just like if you took the architecture of like kind of a mall and just made a massive building covering the planet that just has, you know, stairs going in and out, and like, I don't know, it's kind of like an Escher painting, and like it's weird. I'm talking about something totally insane. Does anyone feel like this? Does anyone like have dreams like this? I don't know. This is like our equivalent. You know, people said that like back in the black and white era, people used to have dreams in black and white because it affected the way they looked at the world. I feel like this is the same thing for modern... Like, consumerism has affected my psyche to such a degree that I model the architecture in my brain after it. What about Stuckey? Stuckey sucks. Like, if you go to Buc-ee's, you will never know. Buc-ee's and Stuckey's, Stuckey's has nothing on Buc-ee's. Stuckey's is like this big. Buc-ee's is like a palace. It's like an AmeriCorps palace, and Stuckey's is just a gas station. Backroom Buc-ee's. Backroom liminal Buc-ee's. Vsauce video moment, yeah. I do sometimes wish that, like, you could share your dreams with someone else, like, show them the experience of it, because my dreams are sometimes very, I don't know, they really are artistic. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. My dreams are extremely artistic. They usually don't have, like, plots in them, which is weird, because I'm not a very artistic guy. Like, I think of myself as more like a rational person, but I will have these dreams that are very, like, it's difficult to explain. Kind of difficult to explain. And my dream self is very... I don't know. This is different. So Luke says, me again. This is a work credit card I'm using. How's the web ring coming along? I'm going to do a couple more Hugo videos, and then I'll talk about the web ring. I think the software is going fine. I'm just going to... Like, I think it'll work. I can probably go ahead and put it up. So it'll just be when I do a video on it. And so, again, I'll probably do Hugo videos. I'm going to put out a short code for people in my web ring that can just, like, you know, add that to their website if they're making their stuff in Hugo. Of course, you don't have to use Hugo to use the web ring, but... not all my sites use Hugo. LindyPress still doesn't. LindyPress is still dynamically made. There is a way of doing sites like that, like sales sites in... I know that Kai Hendry has some kind of static site generator. He has this system for Hugo for doing like online sales sites. I might move over to something like that, but this whole year I've been meaning to rewrite that site, but I just haven't. Like, I've been busy. But yeah, I will be doing the web ring thing. That I'm pretty happy with the software that there is. I'm probably gonna have to go pee. I'm probably gonna have to pee. Let me read this one. Drygrass says 20 gay pursuing land dwelling in true union, attractive but remaining celibate for life. How to cope with being gay, explicitly I mean, you could get married to a woman like every other, like, dispositionally homosexual man before the modern era. It's not that difficult. Why did you take down your circs? I took it down a million years ago. Yeah, I mean, that was a normal thing for people to do. Like a lot of these guys who had, like, homosexual, like, tendencies back in the day, they just get married to women. I mean, I don't know if you're, like, disgusted by women or something, but, you know, unless you're going to be a monastic, it's either get married or be a monastic. Those are basically the best. I mean, those are the two life paths. Okay, like, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I mean, that's not something that I've dealt with, so I can't really explain that. But I will say, like, women are hard to deal with, like, socially, obviously, like, in terms of how they work and think. But as you get older, I don't know. I kind of feel like... Oh, I'm not going to say that. People are going to, like, laugh at me for that one. I'm not going to say that one. I've been withdrawing a lot of my comments on this stream, but I don't want them to sound too funny. All right, I have to go to the bathroom. I got to go. I'll be right back. Yeah, you can watch Liminal Luke Core while I'm gone. That's what you're watching. Yeah, very liminal. Hold on. Gotta put my shirt back on. I had to take off my shirt because I didn't put on my baking soda today, so I just wiped off my sweat a little bit. Okay, I want to go back to the thing that the guy said he was, like, gay. So also it depends on when you say you're gay. Depends on what you mean by that, right? So are you like because here's my view. There are some dudes who basically have, like, homosexual temptations since they were, like, young, okay, and that's probably harder. But I do think there's a significant number of Zoomers nowadays who are gay because, like, basically they just watched a lot of porn and they, like, chafe themselves to everything else, and they're just, like, generally perverted, okay, frankly. So if you're one of those, that sounds worse. But if you're one of those, like, it might be easier to get back to kind of, like, normalcy, you know what I mean? But I'm not assuming that you're one or the other. Like, the thing is, like, I don't know. I don't know if there's some, like, gay dude out there who you could, like, some guy who's, like, struggled with, like, homosexual temptation. Now, didn't Father Seraphim Rose, wasn't he, like, a homosexual at some point in his life before he converted to Orthodoxy? I don't even remember. I feel like he was, but, like, I feel like that is a sin very specific that you have to talk to someone who's familiar with that. Because like someone like me, like, dude, I don't know. I don't know what it's like. I have no clue. I have no, like, that is just not, like, I've been tempted by weird stuff, but not that, okay? So that's all I can say. So I wish I could be more helpful, and I hope everyone prays for you, but I cannot myself give you like perfect advice on that, because I'm not qualified, because I ain't gay. But all right, let's see. Luke again. Wow, Luke is like giving $1 million $2 donations. We're probably at least up to $10 or maybe 15. He says, what is the payment system you've set up on lindypress.net? Is it just FastPay, or is it something? No, it's not. So FastPay is just the. Well, okay, I'll read the rest of this. Or is it something built on top of that? I'm tempted to set up a book site for Latin mass missiles. I made in tech. Any advice about getting started on the business? So the company that does FastPay, actually the company that does most, fiat credit card transactions is called Stripe. Okay. And so that's what basically everyone uses, and they have an API. So theoretically, FastPay and LindyPress, they're running a similar system, but it's not running on FastPay. Like FastPay is just a front end that generates API calls on Stripe where you can send in, money, right? And LindyPress is similar. Okay. So, but yeah, you would, like, Stripe is usually what people use. You could use PayPal, but PayPal absolutely 100% sucks. And you should not use PayPal. Don't even consider it, because their API is trash. And there probably are some other companies, but Stripe is the most common. So just look that up. Not to be confused with Strike, which is that Bitcoin company. Ben sends in some XMR. What ThinkPad do you use, and why is it not a core booted T440? Well, I use a Libre booted T400, which is better. Which is actually, so, I don't know. I told you I was going to do a video on this, but I'll give a preview. So one of the guys who works on LibreBoot sent me this computer. It's very nice. Now, here's the cool thing. It's a T400, but the nice thing is he actually modded this out. It's like what he called quad modded. It has a quad processor or whatever, and he actually drilled, he has to have like some extra like vents and stuff for that. So that is what I use, and it is Libre booted, not core booted. Libre booted is much better, of course, if you can use that on a machine. I don't think that the T440 is Libre bootable, because basically you need a Core 2 Duo processor. This is why you need you don't need, but you might want a quad mod on this, just because, it's kind of an older processor. So this keeps up, it does very well, and I'll do a video on it. And the guy's site, I'll go ahead and give it to you. It's thonkpeasant.xyz. THONK peasant.xyz. That's his website. And he has a little store there where you can get Libre booted computers from him. Again, I'm pretty sure he's one of the LibreBoot developers. So. Oh, my internet is broken. Thoughts on lifting. I heard creatine supplements is what caused your hair loss. I don't know where the heck you heard that, because that is 1,000,000% not true. I've never taken any of that kind of crap. Does it look like I work out? Like, seriously, look. I don't know. Do you even lift? Yeah. I don't know if he fell for a meme or if he's memeing me right now. Portial says, I'm going to be involved in neuroscience research, but I don't see a way forward without college. Would anyone take someone seriously without a PhD? I mean, again, someone asked me about this. I forget what it was. It was like, I'm set on working in academia. How can I not have college? It's like, firstly, I'll go ahead and tell you, you're not going to have a good time if you're working in a college. It's not what you think. It is not at all what you think, and it's getting worse by the year. That's all I can say. And if I had said this to myself back when I was doing my master's, I probably would have like made up some stupid cope for not listening. And I know that most people are not going to listen because everything around them is telling them to like get more and more degrees. But yeah, like getting this highly specialized quote-unquote skill that's not even a skill. It's like something that's like dependent on the particular institutional and scientific structure of society right now, and the fact that universities just get billions for doing nothing all day. Okay, like if you're training for a skill, if you're going to spend like 15 years of your life training for a skill that's going to be useful there and nowhere else, you're wasting that 15 years. That's all I can say. So if you want to try it anyway, and you want to see if you can do it without hurting yourself or like wasting your time, be my guest. My only advice is to do what I did when I was in graduate school, and at least I spent all of my free time, which I made as much free time as humanly possible. I spent all of my free time learning to do other things. But my real recommendation is no one should be going to graduate school at this point, okay? I said earlier in the video there are reasons for a sheepskin effect to maybe get a bachelor's degree. If you don't have like a business or something, if you need to do a couple years of waging, and maybe in some very limited time, like there are places where you might want to get a master's, because master's is usually just 2 years. But again, you're not getting it because it's giving you anything, because it isn't. You're doing it just to look good on a resume, and you have to acknowledge that, and you have to utilize your time while you're working on that to actually do stuff important and not let that get in the way. And I would definitely not try to get a career specifically in one of those fields. Okay. I mean, and on even if you don't end up working in a university or doing research, okay, are there other things you can do? Yes, but they're still like highly rarefied and dependent on some corporation. Actually, the girlfriend I mentioned earlier in this video, who went to Emory and went like $1 bajillion in debt, she was doing neuroscience. They had a good program there. It was actually pretty. The people on her program were really cool. Like the lab that he had was like kind of like evolutionary psychology and stuff. Like it was interesting stuff, right? But so she graduated and she didn't want to work in academia. She was burnt out on that, and she wanted to like make more money. And she got a job like at Coca-Cola or something like that. And they wanted her to like, I forget exactly, like scan people who looked at ads. I forget exactly what it was. But the thing is, if you get that skill, yeah, can you work somewhere outside of the university? Yeah. It's like Coca-Cola, okay? It's like some other big company where you basically have the same problem, okay? Still got to get the heckin' vax, right? That actually should be your metric. Are we looking at careers where you had to get the vaccine? That is the best metric for what kind of freedom you are going to have in a job. Constantine says, or Constant, yeah, well, I guess he pronounced it Constantine. We'll anglicize it a little bit. Do you want to print Filiocalia, maybe bilingual English and Greek on Lindy Press? I'm not actually familiar. Does that go by another name? Should I know that? I should probably know this work. Let me pull it up. Off the top of my head, I don't know what you're talking about. I'll just admit that. Whoop. Filio. So depending on how long, so this is Hezekiah stuff. Okay. Depends on how long it is. Okay, well, I'm working on a reader now that's like early Christian writings. Now, of course, this is not early. This is Hezekiah stuff. So it's like, what, 15th century? I'd contemplate it. Although, to also be honest, I haven't read that much Hezekiah stuff, so I'm not... That's one aspect of Orthodoxy I'm not, like, super familiar with, because it's kind of... It's late to the game, you know? But, I'm open to it. I'll just say that. I'm open to it. I actually don't have anything out in Greek yet. Because there are a couple things. I was working on the Hermetic Corpus, but I kind of decided against publishing that. And I thought about doing a bilingual of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, but I don't know if that'd actually be useful. Unless it's like someone who wants to read it to like learn Greek. Or just have it just to have it. By the way, if you know any Latin teachers, Tell them to buy my book on etymologies. I should probably try to market some of this stuff to like schools. That would actually be that'd be a good idea. Yeah, so I probably have some connections. All right. La, 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 la. I think I said I was going to like read I was going to read an email. Okay, I totally forgot about this. I said I was going to like read some email about a kid asking about college. So you're going to get my visceral reactions to this, which I think I looked over it a second ago, or like, a couple hours ago. So this guy, whose name is Wise Gamer. Oh boy, he says it's one of your subs from YouTube. Hope this doesn't bother you. I just passed out from high school. Passed out from high school? Okay, yeah, he's not a native English speaker. And applied at a local university for a computer science degree. Because of my grades, 68% out of 100%, I did not get an admissions letter from a good college. And now I only have two options. Either study in a college with bad reputations, might even have bad education staff, I don't know about that, or learn from online resources from home and get some CERTs. And I'm going to go ahead and respond to that. He goes on more. So I'll go ahead and say, firstly, I don't know why you got grades so low. I don't know see, I'm from America where like everyone gets an A if they do the work basically, and you have to be really stupid to fail, or you have to just like not do the work. Now, in high school, I was the guy who didn't do the work. So I did get some bad grades. So there is a question of like, did you get these low grades because like you're slow, or did you get these low grades because you were understandably lazy and you didn't care about school? So that's something to think about. I will say you lucked out in not getting to a big school if that meant you paying more. But if you're not an American, it might not matter. But yeah, as I said before, and it might be different in different countries, but my reflex based on America is that you really just want a degree to want a degree at this point, okay? If he says like, oh, the school has a bad reputation, I don't think you need to like beat yourself up about that. I mean, if it's just like, oh, it's like a local school that no one cares about, that's no big deal. Like in America, if you go to some stupid local school versus you go to like some highly expensive school, right? That's like a flex. But in terms of like applying for specific jobs, it's not going to make a big difference if you go to like a state school versus like Harvard, frankly. I mean, the Harvard guy will get an interview faster, right? But the other guy can still apply, right? He's still going to apply, and frankly, he's probably not going to be competing with Harvard people or whatever. Anyway, so he says, now my entire family, directly or indirectly, don't want me to learn from home. They say that I should learn from college, which I'm selected, and get online certs in the academic. I mean, you can do both. Like, I honestly, I might agree with your parents here, because, like, again, like college time, especially if you're getting college for free, okay? If you're in a country where you're getting free college, do it. Absolutely do it, because you're not doing it, based on this, you're not doing anything else, and in your free time, do the certifications, absolutely. Don't do this, I'm going to sit around all day and do nothing, if you could be getting a fake degree for free, okay? A degree that theoretically is going to count for something even if you're not learning anything. And again, you're like in your school, since you're not in America, most of the time I'm talking about Americans. When I'm saying all these bad things about schools, American schools are terrible. It might be that in your second world country, wherever you are, schools are still okay. I want to be a cybersecurity expert and study about different aspects of topics of cybersecurity every day. And I also learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And currently, I'm learning advanced JavaScript and Node.js. Ah! Don't do that. Make the world a better place and don't do Node. And other frameworks, and I'm developing my portfolio site and trying to do some projects. Well, that's good. If you're doing projects and you're developing a portfolio and you're learning stuff, that's good. But you can do that at the same, like unless like you have a job you're working on all the time, you can do school at the same time, especially if it's free. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and on the certificate, he says, I'm also preparing for Network Plus exam and CCNA, and then, you know, a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah. Like, certifications, theoretically, they matter. Like, they're a tiebreaker thing, but they don't really matter that much. They don't care. Like, places that don't know anything, they will require certifications. But I think if you're a technically competent person and you have something to show for it, if you have, like, a good GitHub, if you have, like, a good portfolio, yeah, who cares if you have certifications? I don't know. Again, maybe in this country they do. But I'm just going to say, like, mostly having certifications is kind of a formality. More so of a formality than, like, you know, having a degree is a formality. So that's what I would say to that. If that guy's listening. If it's not, it's an example for you guys. Whatever. Okay, so Chris says, as a linguist, are there pros to having genders for objects in a language, e.g. in German, the word for coffee is male. How do you shave? Also, how do you shave? Have you taken the safety razor pill? I actually don't have a safety razor. Call me cut. I need to. I have not. Yeah, I just shave basically the way. Well, I do have like a reusable blade, but it's like one of those crappy plastic things. I don't have a real safety razor. I'll go ahead and answer that. So pros having gender in languages, that is like a thoroughly. I mean, so there's the school that gender is totally an accident in language. Like the reason you have it, like it just kind of emerged in Indo-European, and it's just kind of there out of momentum. That's like one school. But also, it's important to note that like in earlier languages where you had like hyperbaton, when you had like, you know, constituents, like a noun, theoretically, you could put a noun on one side of a sentence and an adjective on the total opposite side of the sentence that's modifying it, right? There are some reasons to have, like, the disambiguation of gender. Occasionally, there's a reason. There might be some information processing reasons to have that. I think that's one valid theory. But I think the accident, I think it's probably mostly a historical accident. And I mean, when you look at Indo-European, so how Indo-European used to work is basically there are two types of nouns, and it was totally, it was like animate and inanimate. And those functioned differently in terms of like inanimates couldn't even be the subjects of sentences. That's actually why in Indo-European languages, in most of them, the neuter form, the nominative and accusative are always the same. Right? That's because, you know, back at this period, like there was no nominative basically, and if you wanted to say basically that like a neuter was a subject, quote unquote, of a sentence, you would use it with an impersonal, and you would decline the neuter as if it were an instrumental. So anyway, blah blah blah. So Indo-European starts out with animate and inanimate, and what happens is there arises this suffix for feminine stuff that is also used for abstract nouns. And a couple other things. And so what exactly was the semantic value of this? Why did it propagate? That's not entirely sure. But it happened, and I think gender persists in Indo-European languages for that reason. Like other language families, like they have grammatical gender, but it's not quite as weird as Indo-European languages. That's what I said. Drygrass says, confronted Shadow in the pool of Bethesda yet? I don't understand what that is. Shadow the Hedgehog? I have no idea what that is talking about. I have no idea what that's talking about. So Constantine says again, Luke, thoughts on the Mathematica, thoughts on Mathematica, the Wolfram language. Well, it's closed source, so I'm not interested in it. That's all I gotta say. I mean, it does some interesting stuff, but it's closed source. By the way, Filiokalia is pretty lengthy. 4 volumes in English, 5 volumes in Greek, highly appreciated. One thing I haven't figured out on Lindy Press is how to do multi-volume works. That's one thing I'm having trouble with. One work that I want to do, I have an abridged copy of it. Actually, a pretty based book, as they say, is, where is it? It's a red one. It's a red book, paperback. What section would it be in? Oh, I gotta get this book. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. It's Malleus Maleficarum. You know, so this is an abridged version of this book, which is actually freaking massive. Let me pull up. I know I have my source file for it right now. It might not work on this one because I don't have all my compilation stuff here. Let's see. Let me see how big the Malleus is. Code. Where do I have things in here? Do I even have? Yeah. Books. Malleus. Yeah, so this is like witch hunting, like demonology kind of stuff. Weirdly enough, the Orthodox have a higher opinion of this than Catholics. Like, Catholics actually, like, condemn this book. But I've actually heard a lot of Orthodox people who talk about it. It looks like the text I have right now is 437 pages, which I think is kind of pushing it. Because I want to say my biggest right now is Etymologies, which is... Oh, that's an earlier edition. I managed to trim off a couple more pages by changing margins. I want to say this is like... this is around 400 pages. So... Yeah, so Malleus would be a little bigger than this, which isn't that bad. But there are some parts that I would say are kind of boring. But it's an interesting read. It's an interesting book. All right. So, but anyway, I thought about splitting that one up in multiple volumes. Let me go ahead and put this up before I like forget about it, and it's on my week for like a, you know, who knows, or it's on my desk for like a week. Well, I probably should finish that one up. Oh, I'm getting tired. I'll probably stop the stream at sometime soon, but I'm just going to keep reading stuff until it stops coming. Until it stops. All right. Abstract nouns tend to be feminine in Irish to this day. Yeah, abstract nouns are nearly feminine in basically every European language. Like all the words in English that end in tion, you know, in Romance languages, they're all feminine. Or that end in tude in English. They all end in, like basically every abstract noun in Latin is basically feminine. I'm trying to think of some exceptions. Well, words like color would not be, but they're like a different root. Anyway, if you want to call that an abstract noun, because really, like, abstract nouns that I'm talking about here are like formed from other morphemes. Alrighty. Yeah, I might drop to a close. I'm getting tired. Look how dark it is here. Let's see. Where's... What is the script that I just named? Maybe I can change... Let me change my exposure. Make a little script to do this. Where's that now? There we go. Oh, that made it even darker. Hold on. Let's say 140. Alright, now it's lighter. Let's see what it looks like at 200. Oh, that looks... Oh, man, look at me. I look like super, like, pale or something. I can probably increase it even greater. Yeah, it actually doesn't look as bad as it looked, like, earlier in the day. I have to change the exposure when I'm recording in the middle of the day because it looks, like, ridiculous. I wonder if I can do 400. Oh, my goodness. It gets lighter and light. Now I'm just, like, literally playing around with this. Do like 1,000? Oh man. Oh jeez. No. Let's put that back. Let's put that way back. Oh, that's comfy. That's liminal loop core right there. Let's say 250 or something like that. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. We're about done with this. I need to play around with it. No, I don't. I was going to say, I need a wagey to do all this for me. Then I'd be like, no, I don't believe in that. I believe in minimizing your liabilities, you know? That's why I do everything on my channel myself. Record everything. you know, every video, no production cue. It is funny when I find a YouTube channel that's like some dude with like 20,000 subscribers, you know, which is fine. Like you could probably make a living out of that if you like super monetize it. That is, if you don't do what I do. Don't monetize anything and just do a live stream like every 2 weeks where you get like $100 or something. I don't know. Actually, I feel like I got more donations this time, even though like they're all small amounts, but it adds up, I guess. I'm gonna get rid of like my PayPal and stuff. I'm gonna do all Monero because like I was looking at the donations coming in on PayPal and it's like someone gives $2. It's literally I only get 150 of that. You know what I mean? It's just the principle. I would rather get 0 of that. I would rather the donation not happen. I don't know. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm just like weird about that kind of stuff. It just feels wrong. So, all Monero. What was I gonna say? But yeah, it's funny when I find someone who has like a teeny tiny channel, or yeah, again, you could monetize a $20,000 or a 20,000 subscriber channel and make something out of that. But when he has like a whole team and like, oh, I'm the CEO of blah blah blah. It's like, dude, it's a YouTube channel. It's not real, dude. It's not real. But then again, I don't know. I'm the one. Maybe I'm the odd one out. Let's be real. Like I'm the one that's like got a channel still using this like it's just me talking at a screen because I am just talking at a screen. That's all it is. Like these people, like they exist, but like I don't know them. You know, that's how it is. I'm not gonna be like, well, whatever. Now I'm just saying existential things. Logan Wood, I'm gonna another one of those Cash App things I have to see on my things. He says, thanks for the suggestion on the Unicomp keyboard. Only complaint is I need to add some dampening for the noise. Bothers the heck, ... I guess it cut off the rest of it, but okay. I'm gonna guess it mean he says bothers the heck out of my wife or something. I don't know. No, you gotta embrace that. You gotta embrace that. It feels good. Sigma grind set. Like you gotta type as loud as possible. Well, the thing about it is like there's no difference between typing loudly on a buckling spring keyboard and trying to type as softly as you can, because they both end up being exactly the same. All right, I'm gonna end this. All right, looking at the last thing. Hold on, guys. I gotta check Snapchat. Sigma grind set. Sigma type set. Thoughts on Hyperborea. It was real. We was Hyperboreans. That's my thoughts. Liminal Sigmas. I'm just reading random comments. Liminal Luke grind set. Thoughts on Plan 9. Thoughts on escaping the rat race. Best way to do this with little money in your opinion. Save literally everything. Don't spend money on anything. Don't even own a car if you can get away with it. Actually, I should say like for like 5 years, I literally didn't own a car. Didn't pay insurance. Didn't pay gas. Right? I walked to everything. When I lived in Tucson, I took. When you think about it, okay, in Tucson, I could walk to work. I could not walk to the grocery store, but hey, there was a bus. I would much rather pay $5 a month to ride the bus than pay however much to buy a car and like upkeep that car and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. So learn to live without. That's all I always say. More specific stuff, you gotta, I don't know. I gotta know your life situation, which I don't. Thoughts on Rust. I'm sick of people talking about it. Oh wow, it's written in Rust. No one cares. No one cares about Rust. Why do these people always talk about what's written in Rust? No one cares. That's what I think about Rust. A car would cost like $500 a month in Canada with insurance rape. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. I even at my worst, I was paying like $600 a year on insurance. again, like shop around. Like people also, I will say this. I will, let me just add something. When I was in economics, this is something that people talked about all the time. The fact that, like, people nowadays will belabor, oh my goodness, gas went up by 5 cents. Okay, of course, gas has gone up way more than that. But just in principle, like, people will whine about 5 cents more in gas. But then for big purchases in their life, which they don't give a crap about, or, I mean, that they should give a crap about, but they don't, they will not care at all about being, like, nickeled and dimed. I mean, it's a famous thing in economics, like, if you took a car and you said, okay, I'm going to sell this car to you for $20,000, and that person's like, okay, that sounds good. And then you said, oh, for $2,000 more, I'm going to give you $11 for that. But that's actually how car salesmen, like, selling cars works. A lot of these big purchases, people don't think about, like, marginal differences. They don't take that into account. And I think I should probably, I shouldn't add that to the article I just put out. Maybe I should say this somewhere else. But there is a sense in which, like, people don't analyze, like, big purchases. They're just like, okay, houses cost a lot. Therefore, if I pay, you know, I'm already paying $200,000 for this house, so if I pay $20,000 more, that's not a big deal. No, that is a big deal. That's $20,000, dude. That's $20,000. Like, people don't think about it. You know what I mean? So, like, the easiest place to rip people off is when they're not being, who-ish enough when they're buying big things like cars and houses. Like, those are the big things. And for those, like, that's why I recommended before, when you're getting a house, like, go out of your way, live in a place. You want to make the best decision, and buying information for $1,000 is actually going to make, it's going to pay, it's going to be worth more than $20,000 for you. You know what I mean? If you can get a better deal. Same thing with cars. Just, I don't know. I don't know why anyone would ever buy a car for, like, a new car. Why would you buy a car that has less than 100,000 miles on it? I don't even understand. I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, I said I was going to end, and then I talked about something. So that's pretty typical. Okay, goodbye. Say goodbye in the chat. Say goodbye. I'll let it get to the point where you can see that I'm saying goodbye, then I'll turn it off. Thoughts on eating roasted crickets as a protein source? Oh yeah, guys, check out, did you see, I anxiously await, I will say there's one product that I love consuming, and that is Leonardo of Biz's new videos, and he made an excellent video called You Will Eat the Bugs. Leonardo of Biz came out just last week. That is the product. I was doing the soy jack face when it came out. Very appropriate. That guy's a freaking legend. Like, his videos, they just keep getting better and better. That's the craziest thing about it. It's all about eating bugs. So, yeah, go watch that video. That's now your official. I would pull it up here if I had, like, an OBS thing to do that. But, all right. See you guys. See you guys next time. Show us your setup, man. We haven't seen the whole thing yet. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll do a video of my room. Like, I used to do those when I did, like, apartment videos. Maybe I'll do that for this room. Even though it's like, it's my desk. It's books. That's it. All right. Leonardo of Biz. I mean, he is Bizanacci. Let's be real. He is Bizanacci. We all know it. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. He's actually Bizanacci. Luke Collins says, you missed my last donation. Okay, let me check. Let me check. I don't see a last. Oh, for my phone donations, I have to go to sleep for Latin Mass tomorrow. I'm currently a maths lecturer at the University of Malta. I'm halfway through my UK government-funded PhD. My cope is that my country is still quite Catholic and conservative, and these cringe American ideas aren't really visible at my uni at home yet. Still, I think having a position at uni here is more chill and still allows me to do entrepreneurial stuff on the side. I'll try to get you invited to give a talk here. I think you will like. Oh, wow. Oh, I could do that. I could actually do some I could bust out some linguistic stuff that I've just built up over the years because I haven't presented. I think you'll like it here. All expenses covered, of course. P.S. I use your etymologies with my Latin students. God bless. Oh, wow, that's excellent. Fantastic. I'm glad I read your last donation. Yeah, I mean, it is true. Like, universities in other countries are like less bad, even though they are being infiltrated. Like, I don't view it as a good investment anywhere to work in a university. And if you do it, it's got to be in like a second world country, or I mean, I don't mean second. I mean, frankly, most second world countries are like quote unquote, they're like richer than us and like more competent than us anyway now. So like, yeah, if you're like working at a couple of my friends, like they work in Asian universities, like Singapore or something like that, you know, and yeah, things are different, but I don't trust it. Like I don't trust how the system is going to continue. That's all I have to say. I would not make that your singular career goal. But if you're in there and it's like not stress free and it's not like a cult, that's fine. That's great. But you know, anyway, that's all I gotta say. So that will be enough. That'll be enough. I'm tired. That I am tired at this point. So see you guys next time. I'm turning it off, gamers. Yeah, everyone's saying you missed my last donation. Yeah, I don't see it. Goodbye.